Chapter 1492, Takesu finally makes his move. In that case, considering we are both disciples of the same teacher, I will allow you to witness the beginning of my life. Since you are here, you can also keep him company and relieve his boredom. Gui Ling spoke calmly, finally pointing at Chen Mobai with the red hair. Red hair nodded repeatedly. If Turtle's spirit hadn't left the primordial heaven the instant he obtained the gate of primordial beginning, he would have been thinking about whether to see him off. Young master, let me treat your injuries. After the tortoise spirit left, the blue-haired girl, the spirit of the primordial water control flag, immediately came to Chen Mobai's side and covered the bloody hole in his chest with her hands. Chen Mobai's sacred virtue Tao was drawn away by the primordial demon talisman, but his physique was still at the 7th level. Under the nourishment of the blue-haired girl's gentle innate water essence, it quickly healed. However, the tear in the 9-fire dragon pure yang immortal robe could not be repaired. This treasure for attaining enlightenment, along with the great Tao itself, has been completely destroyed. When did you start following her around? After recovering from his injuries, Chen Mobai stood up and asked the blue-haired girl. In response to your question, sir, over 100 years ago, the second master came to the Eye of Heavenly Sea, refined the power of creation left within by the first master, killed that blind girl Aue, and then reprimanded me. However, considering that I was unaware of your and the second master's true identities, they did not break me, but merely transformed me into a demonic artifact. The blue-haired girl answered respectfully, but her words were tinged with bitterness. After all, who could have imagined that the reincarnation of the turtle spirit would end up in the small 5-element sect in the eastern continent? The power of creation left behind by senior sister Tianhai. Reminded by the reminder, Chen Mobai also recalled the 9th order power within the 4 seas eye of the heavenly river realm. The fact that he and Qingnu were able to enter through the method of hearing the Tao and absorb the power of creation for their own use was already a hint. Chen Mobai even used this to completely refine the turtle treasure and glimpse the 3,000 great Taos. However, compared to him and Qingnu, Gui Ling's use of the power of creation is definitely more powerful. It is estimated that it was precisely because of the power of creation left by Tianhai in the 4 seas eye that the turtle's spirit was able to return to the realm of the demon lord in the 3 realms in a short period of time. Now, she's about to use the gate of primordial beginning to fuse the 3 realms and prove the Tao of primordial beginning. With the heavenly river Tao fruit in hand, even if the heavenly emperor and the true king of the void return, they probably won't be able to stop her. Senior sister Tianhai, did you leave behind nothing, including any incantation or formula, that could restrain the power of the heavenly river Tao fruit? But Chen Mobai still clung to a sliver of hope and asked the primordial water control flag. The flag looked up at him and shook its head. Brother Tao, it should be a great joy for you that senior sister Guiling has attained the primordial realm. After all, after the universe is reopened, you can choose any of the innate great Taos, and the pure Yang realm is just around the corner. You should stop trying to stop her and just stay here obediently. At this moment, the red-haired man, who had been listening in, couldn't help but speak up, advising Chen Mobai not to try to cause trouble, but to just wait for good news in the primal heaven and win without lifting a finger. It should be noted that even after experiencing the creation of the 3 realms, he, with his red hair, was unable to attain the pure Yang realm in the purple heaven universe. Give me time and I, Chen Mobai, can attain the pure Yang realm on my own. Why would I need the turtle spirit's reward? In the 3 realms, I have many relatives, friends, and disciples. I do not want her to slaughter billions of lives for her own selfish reasons. Moreover, since my teacher has given me the Zixel Palace to pass on his holy virtues and teachings, I will never allow anyone under the Zixel sect to fall into demonic ways. Chen Mobai's powerful words shocked the redhead with his identity, and his face was filled with shame. What did you say? The teacher gave Zixel Palace to you. The red-haired man had been sealed away by the heavenly emperor and the true king of Takesu since the beginning of the 3 realms because he had fallen into the primordial demon. He didn't know the current situation of the Zixel universe. Chen Mobai briefly recounted 2 major events: the time when the purple cloud Taoist took him as a disciple, and the time when the turtle spirit's demonic possession triggered the blooming of the annihilation red lotus. He then asked the red-haired man if he had any way to stop the turtle spirit from destroying the world. Sai, unless Master descends to Earth or Senior Sister Tianhai returns from the chaos, I really can't think of anyone who can stand against the current turtle spirit." The red-haired man sighed and shook his head. If it were the previous demon lord, Chen Mobai could have resolved the situation by suppressing the great Tao of destruction of the three realms with the great millstone of annihilation, directly eradicating the roots of the 3,000 demonic paths. However, the current turtle spirit possesses the heavenly river Tao fruit in one hand and the destruction stone lotus in the other, and is still at the peak of the 8th rank. Even the most powerful senior brother in Zixil Palace, the red-haired brother, would probably be no match for him. Moreover, if Tenkai were to return, he might be on Turtle Spirit's side. What if senior brother Takesu makes a move? Chen Mobai asked again. Last time, when the Turtle Spirit fell into demonic possession in the Xuan Palace, it was sealed away by the true king of Takesu. The more I understand the truth now, the more unfathomable it seems. Taisu, he was reincarnated here as a primordial deity when the three realms were created. Later, he returned to the Zai Zio universe and merged the two great Taos left by his teacher, advancing to the pure Yang realm. He has many of the methods left by his teacher, and his strength is indeed extraordinary. At least suppressing me is easy, but I think it is impossible for him to fight against the current turtle spirit. Chen Mobai sighed at the red-haired man's words. Although they guessed that the true king of the void must have his own plans, whether he would stop the turtle spirit or sit idly by and watch her melt the three realms and prove the Tao of the primordial beginning was still unknown. Chen Mobai can only pray now that the true king of Takesu is following the teachings of the Taoist masters Ixil and is on the right path. Huangjia Heaven is one of the 33 heavens of the Linkang immortal realm. It is also the forefront of the rebellion in the northern 8 heavens. The cultivators under the command of the cold halberd heavenly king and the star god temple have fought more than a dozen battles here with the heavenly court army led by the flame sparrow heavenly king. Originally, the flame sparrow heavenly king believed that this rebellion would be easily quelled with his intervention. However, he did not expect that the cold halberd heavenly king had already fallen into demonic possession and his cultivation had increased dramatically. Fortunately, her Nirvana Tao was able to suppress the innate freezing technique, and with Chen Mobai's repair of the 9 tribulations heavenly phoenix zither, the rebels were still suppressed and prevented from advancing further. Just as a stalemate had formed, and the flame sparrow heavenly king was in a difficult position, the supreme emperor heavenly king led the army of the 8 heavens of the east to arrive. With the 2 heavenly kings joining forces, along with the elite troops from the 8 divisions and other continents, they finally defeated the rebel army led by the cold halberd heavenly king. Kill! With a fierce shout from the supreme heavenly king, he manifested his true form as the yellow dragon and commanded the 8 trigrams battle formation, shattering the barrier that had frozen the void and sealed off thousands of miles. This is the last line of defense for the imperial heaven, equivalent to the Xuanhuang Grand Array of the Mi Luo heaven. Once the frozen array was broken, the rebel army that had retreated there immediately came into the sight of the heavenly court's army. A pure white ice dragon flew out and met the eyes of the heavenly king Taewang in the dim sky. The heavenly king Hanji's dragon eyes were as black as ink, and he asked with a coldness that could freeze everything, "Do you also want to compete with me for the throne of the heavenly emperor?" What's so great about the position of heavenly emperor? Old you is trying every means to get rid of it, and you're still rushing over to snatch it. You've really gone mad and your mind isn't clear anymore. When the Supreme Emperor saw the current state of the cold halberd heavenly king, he was filled with disappointment. The reason he led the army here was not only to stop the demon lord from destroying the world, but also to see if he could save this dragon brother. Unfortunately, it now seems to have been completely corrupted and is beyond redemption. What do you know? Only with the position of heavenly emperor can one attain the pure Yang realm. Once I rule the 3 realms on behalf of the demon lord, I will be able to break through the shackles. Just as the cold halberd heavenly king roared, a phoenix cry, filled with killing intent, resounded. Countless musical notes played, transforming into thousands of fiery red blades, like phoenix feathers or a barrage of arrows, raining down on the cold halberd heavenly king. Boom! Faced with the 9 tribulations heavenly phoenix harp activated by the flame sparrow heavenly king, the cold halberd heavenly king also unleashed a deafening dragon roar, with boundless, chilling cold air surging forth, freezing the void, freezing the great Tao, and even stopping time. However, the flame sparrow heavenly king's Nirvana Tao transcends everything, and with the blessing of the tribulation Tao of the nine tribulations heavenly phoenix harp, it almost simulated the pure yang realm of the heavenly phoenix here back then. In a head-on confrontation, it actually melted the frozen spacetime of the cold halberd heavenly king. The fiery red musical notes pierced the gaps between the white scales of the frost halberd king, colliding and clashing with the frozen Tao, causing the latter to cry out in pain. Alas, as your brother, the only thing I can do is seal you away so that you can suffer less. The supreme heavenly king sighed, and a dark yellow pagoda that he had prepared long ago flew out and landed on the top of the white dragon head that was suppressed by the Nirvana Great Tao. After it landed, a mountain 10,000 feet high suddenly appeared in the void, and the cold halberd heavenly king was sealed in it. It's finally coming to an end. Seeing that the two heavenly kings had sealed the white dragon, Kongming, who had followed the army into battle, breathed a sigh of relief. Within the breached Huangjia heaven, the Star God Temple and the seventh-tier beings of the demonic path have been suppressed by the 8 elite forces led by Baixuan Tianjun. When the Patriarch returns, you will all die. Even though the 7 stars of the Star Temple were suppressed by the 8 divisions, they did not yield, and some even shouted. Wu Wei directly struck them with a palm, sealing their mouths. Thus, the greatest rebellion in the Linkang immortal realm was quelled. Next, let's see if the Imperial Tutor in the primordial heaven can suppress the Demon Lord. Thinking of this, Kongming looked up at the chaos beyond the sky. Just then, a gray dot caught his eye. What is it? Just as Kongming was surprised, the gray dot descended from the chaos from afar and landed in the Linkang immortal realm. In an instant, a terrifying demonic power that made all living beings in the 3 realms, even these 7th-order true immortal Tao Lords, feel their hair stand on end, suddenly erupted. With a flash of silver light, the gray dot had already arrived on Huang Jiaxin's battlefield. Kongming finally saw clearly that the gray dot was a blooming gray-white stone lotus, and standing on it was a figure shrouded in black smoke. Demon Lord! Oh no, has the Imperial Tutor been defeated? Just as the Supreme Emperor and the others were greatly alarmed, the 7 stars and the others who had been dejected were all overjoyed and kowtowed to the demonic shadow on the gray-white stone lotus. Welcome back, Ancestor. Please unleash your divine power and destroy these remnants of the heavenly court. Perfect. With so many true immortals and Tao Lords gathered here, it saves me the trouble of searching for each one to suppress and plant the primordial demonic talisman. Gui Ling's indifferent voice rang out. Standing on the gray-white stone lotus, she raised her right hand, and the primordial demonic chi twisted and turned into countless hollowed-out primordial demonic talismans, which were aimed at each of the 7th-rank beings present. The 7 stars and the others who had been overjoyed were stunned when they saw that they also had a mark on their heads. They looked at the turtle's spirit in disbelief. Grandmaster, we are your disciples. Even my husband will become one of my 3,000 demonic paths, let alone you mere disciples. Gui Ling's words were icy. With a flick of his finger, all the primordial demonic symbols fell, and the 7 stars and others who were suppressed by the 8 divisions were implanted without any resistance. Meanwhile, the heavenly immortals and Tao Lords, led by the Supreme Heavenly King, unleashed their own great Tao in an attempt to resist, dodge, or even directly confront the enemy. To resist stubbornly will only increase the sorrow of annihilation. As the tortoise spirit spoke, the gray-white stone lotus turned slightly, and the primordial demonic path had already suppressed all the 7th-order beings present. The 2 innate Tao Lords, Tai Wang Tianwang and Yang Tianwang, roared in unison, a hint of madness flashing in their eyes, as if they were willing to sacrifice everything. They knew the power of the primordial demonic talisman, understanding that if it were implanted, all their fundamental Tao would be extracted as nourishment for the Demon Lord. Therefore, at this critical moment, they unleashed their innate Tao completely, like 2 earth-shattering pillars of light piercing the universe, like moths drawn to flame, crashing towards the Demon Lord atop the gray-white stone lotus. In response, Gui Ling simply raised his right hand and gently patted it down. A demonic hand, composed entirely of demonic energy and seemingly capable of covering the entire celestial realm, appeared out of thin air and seized the 2 heavenly kings who were trying to resist, as if it were squeezing 2 insects. Ah! The Supreme Emperor roared in despair and resentment as the yellow dragon's true form was uncontrollably dragged toward the demonic talisman flying behind him. A flash of black light appeared, and the primordial demonic symbol had been implanted into the bodies of all the seventh-order cultivators present. Various great Taos were successively extracted and injected into the gray-white stone lotus, causing it to bloom petal after petal. Seeing this, Gui Ling still felt the speed was too slow. With a thought, she transformed the 3,000 demonic paths that had already been refined into incarnations such as Yama, the king of hell, and headed towards the other seventh-order beings in the three realms. Below the peak of the 8th level of the turtle spirit realm, none of the true immortal Tao lords have any power to resist. The Xuanhuang grand array of Mi Luo Tian held out for a while, but ultimately shattered under the influence of the heavenly river Tao fruit. The heavenly consort and other seventh-ranking officials of the heavenly court looked at the demon lord descending from the sky with fear, having been implanted with the primordial demon talisman. Soon, only the two great paths of the heavenly emperor remained. In the chaos, as the heavenly river Tao fruit condensed into a sea-stabilizing strike, the seal formed by the 5 emperors' dragon banner was also broken. I won. The tortoise spirit, who had been suppressed by the heavenly emperor and the white light for a long time, was overjoyed to see this scene. She transformed into a primordial demonic light and merged into the gray-white stone lotus, truly activating this supreme treasure destined for the end of the three realms. It was you. At this moment, the heavenly emperor also saw the demon lord standing atop the gray-white stone lotus. Since the outcome was already decided, the turtle spirit no longer concealed himself. In front of younger generations like Kongming, he concealed his identity because he wanted to protect Tianhai's reputation. However, when facing his peers like Tiandi Beiguang, Galing hoped that they could witness the moment of his primordial beginning. Returning home in wealth and honor is like wearing fine clothes at night. The moment Bai Guang saw Gui Ling, memories of his past life began to resurface, and a look of realization flashed in his eyes. So that's how it is, you killed me. After these memories surfaced, Bai Guang recognized Gui Ling's face and was filled with shock and anger. Where is he? What did you do to him? Bai Guang's instincts gave her an ominous premonition, and she worried that Chen Mobai had become the first sacrifice for the turtle spirit's path to enlightenment. You filthy bitch, who gives you the right to speak to me like that? Upon hearing Bai Guang's question, Gui Ling's usually cold and indifferent expression flashed with a hint of anger. Although she did not believe that she and Chen Mobai had a marital relationship, the fact was that Qingnu was her. Because of her demonic possession in her previous life, Qingnu's fortune was almost zero, making her early life very tragic. Even with the schemes of the true king of the void, Chen Mobai was her only light. So Gui Ling went from being angry at the beginning about their union as Taoist partners to completely accepting it in the end. However, Bai Guang, relying on his superior cultivation, stole Qingnu's love, forcing Chen Mobai to take Qingnu far away to the heavenly river realm, unable to return home. Gui Ling always kept this grudge in his heart for Qingnu. Now that the situation was settled and she was about to attain the primordial realm, she no longer needed to hold back. She pointed at Bai Guang's nose and cursed, "Shameless slut, I should have skinned you alive, torn your bones to dust, and shattered your flesh back in the Xuan palace." Bai Guang, with her fiery temper, couldn't tolerate being insulted like that, especially with an outsider like the heavenly emperor present. She immediately turned red with anger, let out a loud shout, and with the annihilation axe in her left hand and the heavenly slaughter sword in her right, she charged directly at Gui Ling. HMPH, I'll show you what the power of creation truly is. Faced with the white light that had mastered 2 ultimate paths, Gui Ling cursed freely, but she dared not underestimate it. After all, she had not yet attained the primordial realm, so she directly used the heavenly river Tao fruit. As the 5 immortal lights swirled, they transformed into a large azure hand that slammed down towards the white light. The heavenly slaughtering sword, capable of destroying everything and even the 3 realms, was silently suppressed by the azure palm after it pierced the heavenly river Tao fruit, just like a mud ox sinking into the sea. Bai Guang's eyes widened in surprise and doubt as she discovered that her 2 great Taos were being devoured and refined by the heavenly river Tao fruit. What's going on? Gui Ling snorted coldly, too lazy to explain to Bai Guang, who was so brainless. On the contrary, the heavenly emperor noticed something amiss. The 3 realms were created by senior sister Tianhai, and the heavenly river Tao fruit is the crystallization of her creation, containing all the great Taos of the 3 realms. Your 2 great Taos were also injected into the 3 realms as one of the origins, so as long as your realm is high enough, you can use the heavenly river Tao fruit to control your great Taos in return. Therefore, in the three realms, anyone who refines the heavenly river Tao fruit is an invincible being. Shut up. Gui Ling clicked his tongue and extended a finger towards the heavenly emperor. Soon, the two ultimate Taos, which were controlled by the heavenly river Tao fruit, transformed into the phantoms of an axe and a long sword, and slashed into the heavenly emperor's body in an instant. Cough, cough, cough. So that's how it is. Do I need my destiny and merit great Taos? After being cut down by the two ending great Taos, the heavenly emperor discovered that the heavenly emperor status bestowed upon him by Tianhai had completely collapsed, and even the foundation of his own great Tao had begun to disappear. Because the heavenly emperor is at the pure yang realm, comparable to the turtle spirit, there is a possibility of backlash if the primordial demon talisman is used. That's why the turtle spirit used such a troublesome method. By ending the great Tao and beheading the heavenly emperor, the two great Taos of his pure yang foundation will return to the three realms and be extracted again by the stone lotus of the end of fortune. Junior sister, have you ever considered that you might fail again this time in your attempt to prove the primordial beginning? The heavenly emperor calmly accepted his fate and stopped struggling, but in the end he asked the turtle's spirit a question that struck at the heart. Senior brother, if it weren't for the necessity of killing you to restore destiny and merit to the three realms, I would have loved to keep you alive so you could witness the moment I reached the 9th rank. The tortoise spirit replied with these words. The heavenly emperor remained silent. Under the two great Taos of ending, the jade dragon's true form began to manifest and dissipate. He glanced back at the three realms one last time and suddenly remembered the heavenly empress who had severed herself. A trace of regret welled up in his heart. After a brilliant burst of light, the heavenly emperor perished in the chaos. As the two innate great Taos that had returned to the three realms were extracted, the great millstone of annihilation finally shattered, and the vast great Tao of the end of fortune spread out, only to be instantly absorbed by the stone lotus. The figure of Li Yanchen demon had just appeared, about to say something, when it was expressionlessly swatted away by the turtle spirit, turning into nourishment for the stone lotus of the end of fortune. On the other side, the white light was suppressed by the heavenly river Tao fruit, and the extinction Tao heavenly axe and heavenly killing sword were also extracted by the turtle's spirit and rooted in the end-of-life stone lotus. The destruction and slaughter of the three realms had already been without a master when Bai Guang's previous life was annihilated. The turtle's spirit, after refining the power of creation through the end-of-life stone lotus, had already taken control. However now, being able to extract the even more powerful end of Tao from the purple heaven universe would be even more helpful for her to attain primordial beginning. As time passed, cracks began to appear all over the two great treasures of the white light. After an unknown amount of time, the stone lotus of the end of fortune had already blossomed into more than 1,000 petals amidst the chaos, its shimmering light displaying the most exquisite colors in the world. That's about it. Seeing this, Gui Ling nodded gently, picked the fully bloomed stone lotus, and prepared to take that step out of the primordial beginning. Finally, she looked at the white light whose mouth was sealed by the heavenly river Tao fruit with a contemptuous expression and announced its fate. You will be the first person I kill after the primordial beginning. You should feel honored. After speaking, the turtle spirit raised his hands, holding the now colorful stone lotus in both, and refined it into his body using the great Tao of the end of fortune. That's about it. At the same time, in the purple cloud universe, the true king of the void, who was leading many true immortals and Tao lords of the central dojo to suppress the silent red lotus, suddenly spoke. Tao ancestor, what do you mean by almost? Xinghu and Daejun, standing to the side, looked surprised, not understanding what this meant. The time is almost here to solve all the problems at once. The true king of the void answered softly, his eyes filled with unprecedented anticipation as he looked at the desolate red lotus that had been suppressed for 10,000 years, yet was still full of vitality. Many of the Tao lords present were somewhat puzzled. But the true king of the void, with a solemn expression, formed hand seals and revealed the grand scheme he had been planning for 10,000 years. The gate of the void opened. With a fierce shout, the massive portal that suppressed the central Tao field and was known as the #1 innate treasure of the Zixio universe suddenly descended upon the Chuan Palace and opened violently towards them amidst the shocked gazes of the true immortals and Tao lords. Chapter 1493, The Calamity of Annihilation descends. Chapter 1493, The Calamity of Annihilation Descends. The moment the door, neither gold nor stone, opened in the purple heaven universe, Chen Mobai in the primordial heaven suddenly felt his body tremble slightly. This is... Chen Mobai was surprised. After closing his eyes and meditating, he immediately discovered that it was due to the void spiritual patterns in his own body. Although his sacred path was taken away by the turtle spirit with the primordial demon talisman, and the turtle treasure was also taken away, his body, which had been tempered and refined over thousands of times, still bore the mark of bearing the great Tao. His seventh order Tai Su Tao body allowed him to quickly perceive the earth-shattering changes taking place in the void of the three realms. Is it because the turtle spirit is about to prove the primordial beginning and refine the 3,000 great Taos, that the void that carries the great Taos is causing such an anomaly? Or perhaps, senior brother Takesu has finally made his move. After realizing this, Chen Mobai suddenly turned around and looked towards the direction of the great void heaven in the chaos. The heavenly river boundary. Above the major spiritual hubs across the 5 continents and 4 seas, cultivators from the Takesu Misty Palace floated, forming hand seals to activate the grand formation left behind by the Takesu True King. Amidst the buzzing sounds, beams of silver light lit up in all the teleportation arrays across the 5 continents and 4 seas, connecting the sky and the earth, before suddenly expanding outwards. As time passed, the silver lights of the teleportation array began to merge and interact. No matter how powerful an existence was, none could stop it. The moment they were enveloped, they all disappeared from their original positions, as if they had been forcibly teleported. This commotion naturally attracted the attention of top cultivators from all over the world. Yuan Kink watched as the cultivators of her sect were teleported away one by one, and her face showed fear. Because Yuan Zhen had been caught in the crossfire, he tried to pull her out, but found that even with his void refinement cultivation, he couldn't do it. It should be noted that before the 9 heavens demon-subduing ancestor disappeared, he passed on the great Tao of Yin and Yang to him. Even though Yuan Kink has not yet achieved Tao integration, he is still a formidable opponent in the void refinement stage. However, faced with the suddenly out-of-control teleportation light, he was unable to resist it or even destroy it. He could only dodge it. It's easy to guess that this was power surpassing the void refinement stage. In other words, it is in harmony with the Tao. As is widely known, the great Tao of the void is entrusted to the great void measuring ruler, a treasure for attaining enlightenment. Therefore, we can conclude that the cause of this mysterious phenomenon is the Takesu Pyo Palace. Why do this? Where were we teleported to? Is this what the true king of the void meant? Yuan Kink waved his sleeve and gathered the remaining disciples who were still in shock from the sect's encampment. He then mounted his escape light and flew directly towards the 5 Elements sect. Along the way, Yuan Kink discovered that not only the 9 heavens demon suppression sect, but all the cultivation forces that had set up teleportation arrays had lost control and were engulfed and covered by the silver light. These places are now completely deserted. Not even a single cow or sheep can be seen. All living beings have vanished. The desolate silence sent a chill down Yuan Kink's spine, especially when he saw through the 9 heavens that the silver light of these teleportation arrays, linked together, almost enveloped most of the eastern continent. If this continues, the entire heavenly river realm will be covered, leaving no escape. Realizing this, Yuan Kink had already arrived above the 5 Elements sect. He found that it was slightly better here because it was protected by the 7th order Zhou Tian He Luo star array. So although the teleportation array also erupted with silver light, it was suppressed by the array. At the very beginning, the cultivators near the teleportation array were swept away in a state of confusion. "Senior, what's going on?" Qing Nu, who was stationed in Beiyuan City, immediately asked when she saw Yuan Kink fly down. "Didn't the imperial tutor inform you?" Yuan Kink came to the 5 Elements sect because she thought that Chen Mobai, as the imperial tutor of the heavenly court, a Tao lord of the harmonious Tao, and the junior brother of the true king of the great void, must be well informed. However, she did not expect that Qing Nu was also completely unaware. Just as Qing Nu shook her head, feeling lost and helpless, a ray of spiritual light appeared above the 5 Elements sect, and a male cultivator with black hair and white eyebrows emerged. "Greetings, fellow Taoists. I am here on the orders of my ancestor to send all living beings of the heavenly river realm to a safe haven. Please release the protective mountain formation and do not obstruct me. The black-haired, white-browed cultivator, holding a gourd-shaped magic artifact, explained his purpose to Qing Nu and Yuan Kink. This is the Kainkun pot. Are you from the Pot Heaven Demon sect? Upon seeing the pot-shaped ritual implement, the knowledgeable Yuan Kink immediately recognized its origin and frowned. Good eye, this is indeed the Kainkun pot, but I am a disciple of the Taeksu Mio Palace. The black-haired, white-browed cultivator solemnly corrected him. In fact, he was the Taoist of the Taeksu Misty Palace who had defected and founded the Pot Heaven Demon sect. However, he was ordered to carry the Kainkun pot of the Taeksu True King and implant the Taeksu Dharma seal into the spiritual cores of various places in the 5 continents and 4 seas. His purpose was to activate the teleportation array today and send all the living beings of the heavenly river realm into the Taeksu True realm. King Nu and Yuan Kink looked at each other, unsure whether to believe it or not. But soon, a flash of silver light appeared, and Taeksu Immortal also appeared above the 5 Elements sect, explaining, in the spirit void immortal realm, the demon lord wants to destroy the world. The ancestor is afraid that he cannot stop him, so he plans to send all living beings into the Taeksu True realm before the great battle. In this way, even if we lose, we can still save all living beings. In the chaos, the turtle spirit had already refined the end-of-life stone lotus into its body. Her body was surrounded by surging demonic energy, and under the control of the holy virtue, the various demonic paths were perfectly harmonized. Based on the end of the world, they were reborn and returned to oneness, taking that first step from the beginning. The primordial state is nothingness, neither real nor unreal, neither born nor dead. Once this state is attained, one can transform everything into nothingness with a single thought. For example, if the primordial beginning did not want the 2 great Taos of Tai Su and Yin, Yang to exist in the universe, then they would never exist again. The will of the primordial can erase everything. Creation, on the other hand, is the ability to create anything one desires from nothingness. Like painting on a blank sheet of paper, all the great principles are the paint, and the will of creation is the brush. With a single thought, mountains and seas rise. With another, heaven and earth crumble. However, the number of blank sheets of paper that can be drawn is fixed. For example, if the turtle's spirit proved the primordial beginning with the great Tao of the 3 realms, then it can only erase everything at will within the 3 realms. The same applies to creation. Only in the realm of eternity, which is above creation and the beginning, can one transcend the limitations of nothingness and be free to do as one pleases. The eternal and all-powerful can paint a picture at will in any corner of chaos within its sight. It can even reverse time and space, changing the present from the past. It was for this reason that the true king of the void knew that when Chen Mobai was given the pure Yang scroll by the Taoist master Zixio in the past, he was a disciple personally certified by him. If the eternal power is not satisfied with the painting, it can erase it at will, turning it back into a blank nothingness, and then fill it in and create according to its own thoughts. However, if that happens, everything has to start all over again, and the new picture painted on the nothingness may not necessarily be better than the last one. It is precisely for this reason that only when there is absolutely no other way will the final catastrophe be born, annihilating everything and turning the entire universe into nothingness. Taeksu Zhenwang followed Zixio Daozun to create the universe, and then joined forces with Tianhai Guiling to create the 3 realms. He was most knowledgeable about the creation and primordial realms. Although the turtle spirit is currently proving the primordial beginning in the 3 realms, if it succeeds, theoretically, this power of nothingness can only operate within the 3 realms. But Tianhai, with his extraordinary talent, created the Dharma realm, breaking this limitation. The Dharma realm is a movable nothingness that never disappears. In this way, wherever Tianhai is, as long as the Dharma realm unfolds, he can exert the power of creation. Although it was unknown whether the primordial realm could extend infinitely through the Dharma realm like the creation realm, one should be prepared for any eventuality. Therefore, when the true king of the void saw that the turtle spirit had taken the primordial realm step, he did not hesitate at all and unveiled the grand scheme that had been planned for 10,000 years. A loud bang. Even in the primordial heaven, Chen Mobai could hear it clearly. Although he had only heard it once, he immediately remembered that it was the sound of the gate of the void gate. Under the command of the spirit of the Taeksu measuring ruler, Kong Kong and Dang Dang, their faces flushed, exerted all their strength and finally activated the Taixu Gate of the Three Realms. At the same time, the final transformation of the Guiling Dao began, attempting to condense the primordial Dao fruit symbolizing nothingness after the incorporation of various demonic paths. In her previous life, she failed at this step because many great Daos had already been occupied in the purple cloud universe. Even though she plundered the great Daos of many pure Yang and true immortals present, it was still far from enough. The 72 phases can only condense the rudimentary form of the primordial Dao fruit. However, because of this, although it triggered a cataclysmic event, it did not reach the terrifying level of annihilating the entire universe once it was unleashed. This time, however, the turtle spirit was well prepared. In the Three Realms, almost all the great Daos have been controlled by her using the primordial demonic talisman and integrated into the end-of-life stone lotus. Only a handful of Daos, such as the star Dao that the heavenly empress destroyed herself, the yin-yang and Tai-Su Dao controlled by the true king of Tai-Su, and the special nirvana, have not blossomed on the stone lotus. However, her solid foundation of nearly 3,000 demonic paths allowed her to easily cross the threshold she had not been able to cross in her previous life. On the white forehead of the tortoise spirit, the colorful stone lotus suddenly began to collapse from the center, as if a point had appeared that devoured all light, heat, sound, form, and even the concept of existence. The instant this point was born, time, space, causality, energy, matter, and even the great Tao, all the cornerstones of the universe, began to lose their concept of existence. Is this the primordial beginning? A sudden realization dawned on Gui Ling, and his entire being was reduced to nothingness by this singularity, vanishing into the chaos. Thump! Soon, a vibration, like the beating of a heart, spread from this point, transforming into an invisible wave that reverberated throughout the Three Realms. With this ripple, the celestial membrane of the Lingkang immortal realm collapsed like a shattered mirror. All matter in the 33 heavens shattered into inch-by-inch particles, turning into the most primordial void particles that headed towards the point of chaos beyond the heavens. The same applies to the heavenly river realm, the netherworld realm, and even the three saint realms in chaos. Everything, tangible and intangible, seemed like a dream, a bubble. The ocean dried up, the earth vanished. Those beings not transported into the true realm of the void heard only a heartbeat before losing consciousness and turning into dust. In the primordial heaven, Chen Mobai saw the seal set up by the turtle spirit dissipate as the three realms were melted down and the great Tao was unified. Without any hesitation, he flew directly towards the gate of the void and the direction from which the invisible tremor came. However, without the great Tao of saintly virtue, he found it very difficult to advance in the chaos, relying solely on his seventh-order Tai-Su Dao body. "Young master, please don't make things difficult for me." At this moment, the primordial water control flag revealed its true form, binding Chen Mobai and heeding the turtle spirit's command. "Take me there. If she succeeds in proving the primordial beginning, she will definitely want me to be the first person to congratulate her." Chen Mobai did not forcefully resist the primordial water control flag. Instead, he spoke calmly and pointed in the direction. The primordial water control flag hesitated, but at that moment another thud sounded. The primordial heaven they inhabited also began to disintegrate into chaos with this tremor. Seeing that there was nowhere left to stay, the primordial water control flag could only grit its teeth and fly in the direction Chen Mobai pointed out. "Senior brother, wait for me." Upon seeing this, the red-haired spirit immediately followed. Thump! Another sound rang out, and the point in the chaos that devoured everything began to slowly rotate and expand, as if an infinitely terrifying being was about to be born from it. At that very moment, a colossal Taoist figure, carrying the gate of the void, burst through the chaos and walked step by step toward this point. "Junior Sister Guiling, since this calamity of annihilation originated from you, I also hope to end it by your hand." The Taoist's Dharma form was naturally that of the true king of the great void. His clear voice rang out, and the gate of the great void in his hand had already been opened. Behind the door, the desolate red lotus in the dark red eye of the purple cloud universe mystic palace was clearly visible. Endless black hole vortexes, like black bullets, passed through this innate treasure and fell into this chaos. Upon realizing that point, they rushed towards it in a frenzy. "Tai-Su!" Gui Ling's voice rang out from the point, revealing for the first time a violent emotional fluctuation. She is only half a step away from attaining enlightenment. As long as one can return from nothingness, one can condense the primordial Tao fruit that symbolizes nothingness. However, at this critical moment, the true king of the void opened the portal between the three realms and the purple cloud universe, allowing the calamity of annihilation on the other side to sense the aura of the turtle's spirit. Junior sister, if you want to achieve the primordial beginning, you must overcome nirvana. 10,000 years ago, I sealed you away for the sake of all living beings. This calamity could not find you, but instead caused endless trouble. Over the years, you have been growing by absorbing the great Tao of the universe, and even I can no longer suppress you. Now that you have embarked on this primordial demonic path, the calamity of annihilation that you lack, I will naturally make up for you. If you truly have the foundation to prove the primordial beginning, you should be able to overcome this annihilation. In that case, you might even surpass senior sister Tianhai and become the first true ninth order cultivator in my Zixel palace besides master. But if we can't overcome this, it will be a good opportunity to use your useful body to eliminate this calamity of annihilation for the Purple Heaven universe. Chapter 1494 Choice. Chapter 1494 Choice. The colossal Dharma form of the true king of the void stood amidst the chaos, recounting the arduous journey of 10,000 years since the blooming of the crimson lotus of annihilation. He considered various methods to resolve this ever-spreading catastrophe, but could only manage to postpone it. Through years of observation and deduction, he realized that this calamity needed to complete its mission at its source in order to bring it to an end. The source of this annihilation calamity is the nirvana calamity of the tortoise spirit's profound origin. Therefore, the true king of the void needs to recreate that scene. Alternatively, the tortoise spirit may succeed in proving the primordial truth and transcend the annihilation tribulation. Either the turtle spirit fails and is annihilated by the calamity, or, after realizing that the turtle spirit's soul and true spirit were scattered and destroyed during the process of proving the primordial beginning, the calamity will naturally dissipate and transform back into the unbloomed, annihilated red lotus, waiting to erupt again at the end of the universe. For the true king of the void, the latter outcome was naturally his preferred one. After all, if the turtle spirit had proven its origin, it certainly wouldn't have spared him. But in any case, we will definitely be able to resolve this major concern, the annihilation calamity of the Zixel universe, today. We'll talk about what happens next later. With this in mind, the true king of the great void fully opened the gate of the great void that was supported by the Dharma image. With a deafening roar, the annihilation black hole, which had been suppressed by the Zixel palace and the eighth order grand formation in the Chuan palace, found an opening to escape. Sensing the impending annihilation of the tortoise spirit, it transformed into a vast, world-destroying torrent, carrying the power to dissolve and erase everything, and surged into the point where the tortoise spirit had become. The primordial realm absorbs and devours everything, even annihilation. In an instant, the tortoise spirit felt its own Tao, thoughts, and even memories begin to dissipate in the torrent. Her entire existence began to vanish into nothingness under the calamity of annihilation. Just as it was about to fail completely and return to nothingness, a brilliant celestial light suddenly shone in the singularity, like a divine sword that split the heavens and the earth, cutting through the void. The figure of the turtle spirit emerged from the void singularity. Her eyes widened as she stared intently at the true king of the void before her. Her entire body was faintly visible, as if it would completely dissipate at any moment. Senior sister Tianhai's power of creation. Takesu True King ignored the murderous gaze of the turtle spirit and nodded in realization after sensing its current state. You forcibly ended your process of proving the primordial beginning with the heavenly river Tao fruit, but it's useless, junior sister. If I don't seal you this time, this calamity of annihilation will hunt you down to every corner of the chaos, and will only dissipate when it has completely annihilated all your spirituality. Damn it, I was only half a step away. Gui Ling was extremely unwilling. If it weren't for the annihilation calamity sent by Taixu Zhenwang, she would have been 70% confident that she could condense the primordial Tao fruit and step into the ninth rank. Junior sister, although it is only half a step, it is a chasm that you will never be able to cross in your entire life. When you realize that you cannot cross the nirvana, and you stop and retreat by cutting off your cultivation, it means that you do not have the Tao heart of the primordial beginning. Even without this calamity, you will be completely destroyed the moment the primordial Tao fruit is condensed. The true king of the void shook his head and expressed his opinion. To be honest, the true king of Takesu was very disappointed with the choice of Guiling. After all, having cultivated to this level, there was only the 9th rank left to pursue. Although Yuanqi and Xiahua followed different paths, they were both part of eternity. For him, there was still a desire to witness the birth of Yuanqi with his own eyes. But in any case, at least the catastrophe of annihilation can be resolved. Thinking that he had protected the universe created by his master, the true king of the void nodded in satisfaction. Rumble. At this moment, because the turtle's spirit withdrew from the process of proving the origin, the annihilation tribulation, which had paused for a while, locked onto the turtle's spirit again, unleashing a torrent that annihilated all things, surging towards her. In the face of life-or-death crisis, the heavenly river Tao fruit emitted brilliant immortal light, protecting the turtle's spirit within and fighting against the annihilation. However, as time passed, this Tao fruit, which contained the power of 9th-order creation, began to dim. The true king of Takesu was not lying. Only by completely annihilating Gilingji would this calamity cease. Even if Tianhai came from the chaos in person, he could not prevent this outcome. At this moment, a beam of azure light flew from the depths of chaos and landed beside the ear of the enormous Dharma image of the true king of the void. It was Chen Mobai who had arrived riding on the primordial water control banner. When he saw the opened gate of the void and the tortoise spirit struggling to survive under the calamity of annihilation, his eyes widened in realization. Senior brother, is this your plan? Indeed, you've suffered, junior brother. If it weren't for the holy virtue path you provided, junior sister Guiling certainly wouldn't have taken the step of Yuanqi so quickly. You deserve 30% of this great merit in saving the universe and all living beings. At this point, the true king of the void no longer needed to hide anything, and revealed the whole truth. Chen Mobai, so it wasn't Turtle Treasure who chose me but you, senior brother, who chose me. But why me? If the only intention was to give the sacred way to the tortoise spirit, anyone could have done it. Junior brother, I have never lied to you. I told you the truth when we first met. Because you are a void spirit, you were able to access the tortoise shell. Originally, I planned to use you as an intermediary to deliver the tortoise shell to my junior sister, so that she could travel to the 3 realms, retrace the primordial path, and resolve all the problems. At this point, the true king of the void paused, looking at the tortoise spirit with regret in his eyes. But there is a force in the darkness that has been preventing my junior sister from obtaining the tortoise shell, preventing her from heading down the path of death, which has led to the current situation. After hearing this, Chen Mobai looked puzzled. What power? As a pure Yang master and one of the most powerful beings in the universe, who could possibly stop your plans? The true king of the void pointed to the heavenly river Tao fruit that was still protecting the turtle spirit in the annihilation tribulation and said, on that turtle shell, there is the secret of creation left by senior sister Tianhai to junior sister turtle spirit, guiding her to seek good fortune and avoid misfortune. It's just a pity that she brought this upon herself. Takesu Zhenwang was fully aware of the legacy Tianhai left for Guiling, and it was precisely for this reason that he did not force Chen Mobai to hand over the Guiling treasure to King Nu. Besides giving Tianhai face, he also knew that since the calamity of annihilation had been left behind, fate would surely bring the tortoise spirit back, forming a closed loop of calamity. The net of heaven is vast, its meshes are wide, yet nothing escapes it. With senior brother here, it's no wonder teacher could leave with peace of mind. After hearing this, Chen Mobai felt sincere admiration for Takesu Zhenwang. Just then, the true king of the void seemed to have discovered something, and looked towards a certain place in the chaos. Soon, a person very familiar to Chen Mobai appeared out of thin air, holding a colorful banner with dragon patterns. It was White Light. Fellow Taoist, you're quite lucky. Takesu Zhenwang looked at the 5 Emperors dragon banner in Bai Guang's hand, and said with some surprise, Gui Ling Zheng, the primordial being, sealed Bai Guang with the 5 Emperors dragon banner, intending to kill this mistress herself after reaching the 9th level to avenge Qing Nu. However, with her failure, the 5 Emperors dragon banner, this supreme treasure, was freed from demonic influence and even turned against Bai Guang, recognizing her as its master and wanting her to avenge the heavenly emperor. But Bai Guang was pale and weak at this moment, not much better than Chen Mobai. The 2 innate treasures, the heavenly axe of annihilation and the heavenly slaughter sword, had already had their great Tao drained by the turtle's spirit and were completely shattered. The white light connected to the true spirit was even on the verge of falling from the pure Yang realm. The moment he came out and saw that Chen Mobai was still alive, Bai Guang breathed a sigh of relief. "You're still here, that's good." After speaking, Bai Guang looked at Gui Ling with a face full of anger. If the latter hadn't been surrounded by the calamity of annihilation and was already waiting to die, she would have loved to kill her herself and tear her to pieces. But then Bai Guang suddenly remembered something, and a happy smile appeared on her face. She flew to Chen Mobai's side, took his hand, and deliberately showed it to Gui Ling. "You silly girl, you can go in peace now. I will live a good life with my husband from now on. By the way, he and I have a very cute and obedient daughter. You have never enjoyed this kind of family happiness before, have you? I will enjoy it for you." Originally, Gui Ling was heartbroken and filled with despair. But after hearing Bai Guang's words and seeing her actions, he was immediately enraged, and an unprecedented fighting spirit surged within him. "You just wait. I'll get through this mere annihilation tribulation soon. When that happens, I won't kill you. Instead, I'll skin you alive every day and torture you until you wish you were dead." Amidst his furious roar, the tortoise spirit forcefully raised its cultivation level, attempting to once again step into the primordial beginning. Her actions caused all the remaining black hole vortexes in the purple cloud universe to erupt violently. They didn't even need the true king of the void or the powerful beings in the central dojo opposite to drive them away. Like dark red fireballs, they flew through the void gate and crashed into the turtle spirit. Upon seeing this scene, the true king of the void suddenly sighed. Chen Mobai thought he was concerned about his fellow disciples and couldn't bear to see Guiling perish. "Junior brother, do you remember the question I asked you before?" But Taixu Zhenwang suddenly turned around and asked Chen Mobai this question. "Senior brother, do you mean sacrificing the individual to save the greater good?" Chen Mobai naturally remembered that when he met the true King Taixu in the Xuan Palace, the latter asked him whether it was worthwhile to sacrifice all the living beings in the northern part of the central dojo to save the Zixio universe. "Indeed, junior brother, if sacrificing just one person can save the three realms, or even all living beings in the universe, do you think I should do it?" Taixu Zhenwang asked again. Chen Mobai was a little puzzled, but soon he realized something. His pupils constricted sharply as he looked at the solemn-faced true King Taixu, his body trembling. "Senior brother, what you're going to sacrifice? Wouldn't it be?" Alas, the true king of the void looked troubled, but still waved his sleeve and opened his true realm of the void. Soon, King Nu's figure flew out from within. "Husband, what's going on?" As soon as King Nu came out, she saw Bai Guang holding Chen Mobai's arm, and her eyes immediately turned cold. "Madam," Chen Mobai looked at Qing Nu, his lips trembling slightly. In the shortest possible time, he told her about her past life as a tortoise spirit, and also about his relationship with Bai Guang. "At this point, there's no need to hide anything. In my past life I was the Demon Lord." After hearing this, Qing Nu was also shocked and couldn't care less about investigating Chen Mobai and Bai Guang's extramarital affair. "Senior brother, could you please seal Qing Nu to avert the annihilation calamity and kill only Gui Ling?" After explaining to Qing Nu, Chen Mobai immediately turned to Tai Su Zhenwang and pleaded. "Junior brother, the same mistake can only be made once. If the calamity of annihilation is not completely resolved this time, and the red lotus of annihilation is not fully bloomed, even if our teacher returns, we can only restart the universe. I cannot gamble with the fate of the universe for the sake of your wife alone." Taixu Zhenwang shook his head, indicating that in order to eradicate the annihilation calamity must be used today to completely obliterate all traces of the tortoise spirit, including King Nu here. "Senior brother, Gui Ling is Gui Ling and Qing Nu is Qing Nu. The former is the Demon Lord and the latter is my wife, an ordinary woman from the Earth origin star. Can you give it a try first? What if this annihilation tribulation stops after killing Gui Ling?" As Chen Mobai spoke, he shook off Bai Guang's arm, came to Qing Nu's side, and took her hand, his tone already somewhat excited. "Junior brother, my mind is made up. If you try to stop me, then I will have no choice but to suppress you in the Taixu True realm." The Taixu True King had been planning for 10,000 years and had finally seen a glimmer of hope in solving all the problems. Even if it meant sacrificing his own disciple, he was willing to do so. His words and expression were very firm. Upon hearing this, Chen Mobai understood the determination of the true king of Taixu, and he also knew that this was the only and best method. But King Nu was his wife, and she had never done anything immoral in her life. Chen Mobai couldn't bear to make her share the blame for the evil that Guiling had done. "Junior brother, there's only a little time left, so say goodbye properly." Seeing Chen Mobai's ashen face, the true king of Taixu felt a pang of pity. He glanced at the radiance of the heavenly river Dao fruit and offered a word of advice. Upon hearing this, Chen Mobai trembled slightly, painfully covering his face with his hands, unable to bear turning to look at Qing Nu's despairing face. "Husband, am I really a demon destined to destroy the universe?" Qing Nu's voice rang in Chen Mobai's ears. "No, you are not, Gui Ling is." Chen Mobai made this distinction very clear. As he spoke, he mustered his courage and looked at King Nu, only to find that her beautiful face was full of tenderness, and her eyes were filled with reluctance. "I have no regrets about being able to live as husband and wife with you in the heavenly river realm in this life. In the days to come without me, you must live well. Every year on the anniversary of my death, remember to send me a flower." After saying this, Qing Nu released Chen Mobai's hand and took a few steps back. Chen Mobai reached out, trying to pull Qing Nu back, but Taixu Zhenwang had already made a move, using the great Tao of Void to immobilize him. "Junior brother, you have other family members, friends, and even a daughter," Taixu Zhenwang advised Chen Mobai as an elder. Bai Guang opened her mouth, but didn't know what role or position she should take to speak. Although she hoped that Chen Mobai belonged only to her, as his wife, seeing the innocent Qing Nu about to sacrifice herself for the sake of all living beings in the universe, she put herself in their shoes and understood their feelings. "Senior brother is right." At this moment, Chen Mobai suddenly spoke up and said something like this. Upon hearing this, King Nu and Bai Guang breathed a sigh of relief, but for some reason they felt a little disappointed. Suddenly, Chen Mobai's entire body shimmered with silver light, and he took a step forward, breaking free from the void god chains. He possesses the great void Tao body, encompassing all the mysteries of the void. The true king of the void is now using most of his power to control the gate of the void and guide the calamity of annihilation, so Chen Mobai is unable to completely restrain him despite his efforts. "Bai Guang, for the past hundreds of years, I have been the sole father who has taken care of my daughter. From now on, I will entrust this heavy responsibility to you." Chen Mobai, with his back to the white light, spoke these words, causing the other three present to turn pale with shock. "Bai Guang, what do you mean? Don't be impulsive. If you die, your daughter will definitely be heartbroken. A child raised in a single-parent family will definitely turn out badly in the future. Taixu Zhenwang, junior brother, you have a bright future. After this meritorious deed, I will be able to take that step of creation. After I transcend and leave, the entire central dojo and even the universe will be yours." "King Nu, husband, I'm willing to die." But Chen Mobai had made up his mind. He flew to Qing Nu and pulled her into his arms. King Nu struggled slightly, but finally reached out and hugged Chen Mobai tightly, tears streaming down her face. After a long while, Chen Mobai turned around, took Qing Nu's hand and said to Taixu Zhenwang, "Senior brother, I have friends, relatives, and a daughter, but Qing Nu only has me. If I were to leave her at this time, it would be too cruel for her. Honestly, I just can't bring myself to abandon her." Hearing this, Taixu Zhenwang understood that Chen Mobai's determination was just as firm as his own, and he couldn't help but sigh again. "Junior brother, take care." After saying this, the true king of the void waved his sleeves, leading the beings of the three realms in the true void realm into the gate of the void, and returned to the purple cloud universe. When he left, he didn't forget to take the white light with him. The latter, however, remained silent, staring blankly at Chen Mobai and Qing Nu, who were holding hands in the chaos. She never imagined she would lose so completely. But when Chen Mobai made this choice, Bai Guang found himself happy inside. Because this means that the man she chose is a truly upright and loving husband, even if that woman isn't him. "Don't worry, I will take good care of my daughter and protect Earth Star." Bai Guang finally realized what was happening as he passed through the gate of the void and shouted loudly, but tears welled up in his eyes. This scene left many true immortal and Tao lords in the central Taoist temple in disbelief. In my lifetime, I have actually witnessed this slaughtered Tao ancestor shedding tears. In the Xuan Palace, the true king of the Great Void saw that all the black hole vortexes caused by the annihilation calamities in the universe were rushing towards the turtle's spirit through the gate of the Great Void. He immediately waved his sleeve and closed the gate of the Great Void. Finally, the true king of Taixu bowed to Chen Mobai across the door and said, "Farewell, junior brother Chen Yang." The other true immortals and Tao lords present also solemnly saw him off, saying, "Sending off Tao ancestor Chen Yang." Even Bai Guang, who usually disliked formalities, unusually composed himself at this moment, and said to Chen Mobai's last glimpse through the crack in the door, "Seeing off my husband." Chen Mobai smiled slightly and waved goodbye. With a loud bang, the gate to the void has been completely closed. Chapter 1495, I'm going to prove the primordial beginning. Chapter 1495, I'm going to prove the primordial beginning. The moment the gate of the void closed, Chen Mobai looked at Qing Nu, whose eyes were filled with uncontrollable tears. All right, it's the last bit of time. Let's face it with a smile. Chen Mobai held King Nu's hand, his face calm as he faced the impending annihilation. For him, the moment he chose to stay, his Tao heart was already fulfilled. Throughout his life, Chen Mobai made every choice at every crossroads in his life without any regrets. "My lord, to be your wife is my greatest fortune for all eternity," King Nu said solemnly, wiping away her tears. "Me too. I remember what I once told you. No matter how many difficulties and obstacles there are in the future, I will always be by your side and never let you be alone." Chen Mobai's expression was also filled with deep emotion as he spoke. He had always worried that as time went by and his cultivation level increased, his acquaintances would die one by one, leaving him all alone. Even Qing Nu, with her heavenly spiritual root, might not be able to keep up with his pace. But today's outcome proves that the couple kept their promise. They will stay together forever, even in death. "Yes, I remember every word you've said." King Nu looked blissful as she rested her head on Chen Mobai's shoulder. The two of them nestled together in the chaos, enjoying the last moments of their lives. Rumble, accompanied by a series of violent roars, waves of dark red torrents, carrying a terrifying aura capable of annihilating all things, surged and exploded like ripples from the turtle's spirit not far away. Under the annihilation, even the chaotic air currents began to groan. Chen Mobai activated his seventh order Taixu Dao body to block the dark red ripples that came before him. Even if the end result is death, he hopes to live a little longer. Unfortunately, annihilation was the calamity of the primordial beginning. The seventh order Taixu Dao body could only barely hold on for a while. One after another, the silvery void spirit patterns were annihilated in an instant, turning into the power of annihilation. King Nu had already leaned on Chen Mobai's shoulder and closed her eyes. The couple held hands, facing death head-on. Whoosh! Suddenly, a strange sound, like a sharp sword cleaving the water, rang out in the chaos and silence. A beam of 5 great immortal lights shone on the heavenly river Dao fruit above the turtle spirit's head, cleaving through the chaos and landing on the primordial water control flag at Chen Mobai's feet. As a clear, azure light rose, the demonic energy within this innate spiritual treasure was completely cleansed. The blue-haired girl, acting as the spirit of the artifact, appeared, pointed her finger, and conjured a primordial water realm, protecting Chen Mobai and Qing Nu within it. "Elder sister." The moment Gui Ling saw the blue-haired girl, a hint of surprise flashed across his face. "Alas, you have ultimately chosen this path." The blue-haired girl, with her back to Chen Mobai and his wife, sighed towards the tortoise spirit. "Is that senior sister Tianai?" Upon hearing this, Chen Mobai immediately led King Nu to pay their respects. The blue-haired girl turned around and saw that the original spirit's face had been transformed into Tianhai's. She looked at King Nu with pity in her eyes. "Senior sister." Qing Nu didn't have the memories of Gui Ling, but she knew her own identity, so she simply called him senior sister, just like Chen Mobai. "Call me sister, or Jinger is fine too. I feel more comfortable with those names." As Tianhai spoke, he formed a hand seal towards the direction of the turtle spirit not far away. Soon, Tianhai Daegu brought the turtle spirit over, and they soon stood together on the primordial water control flag. The annihilation black hole naturally followed along, but under Tianhai's control, the power of the heavenly river Dao fruit was fully unleashed. Although it continued to dim under the annihilation, it was clearly able to sustain itself for a longer period of time. Jinger. Chen Mobai and Qing Nu were both taken aback when they heard this title. They never expected that their younger sister was actually the creator of the 3 realms, Tianhai. "After I attain the creation realm, anything that bears my mark can manifest its true spirit. For example, the stone swords I left on the shore of Earth Origin Star, this precious flag, the heavenly river Dao fruit. The source of the devouring serpent lineage is the Xuanwu serpent, and I can also manifest it through these. It is precisely for this reason that junior brother Taixu dares not press too hard and can only proceed in a roundabout way." After explaining to Chen Mobai and Qing Nu, Tianhai looked at Gui Ling with great disappointment. If you hadn't gone through the primordial beginning, you might have been able to wait until I achieved eternal transcendence and then come back to resolve this matter. Alas. Tianhai glanced at the dark red calamity eye, which was almost at its peak and blooming with red lotuses, and sighed helplessly. Sister, could you remind me? Gui Ling, however, felt somewhat aggrieved. This annihilation was brought about by your attainment of the primordial beginning. If it is not dealt with, I will have no face to see my teacher when the Zixel universe is destroyed in the future. Junior brother Taksu has not yet achieved enlightenment, and this is the only way to solve it. Although I am biased towards you, I cannot truly disregard the demise of all living beings in the universe for your sake. As the successor to the mantle of the purple cloud Taoist, Tianhai's values are still sound. Sister, is there any hope for me? After listening, Gui Ling looked at the gentle blue-haired girl in front of him and asked in a trembling voice. Tianhai shook his head. Once the primordial demonic path was embarked upon by the turtle spirit in his previous life, there was no turning back. Even without the machinations of the true king of the void in this lifetime, Qing Nu would still, guided by cause and effect and destiny, gradually step towards the primordial beginning. Unless Tianhai transcends time and space forever, this point will be severed in the past. Otherwise, given her level of cultivation, she could only indirectly influence Chen Mobai to prevent the tortoise treasure from falling into Qing Nu's hands, thus buying time. Senior sister, is this calamity of annihilation really so terrifying? Even you can't eliminate it. When Chen Mobai first saw Tianhai appear, he felt a surge of hope to live, just like Guiling. However, after hearing the conversation between the two sisters, his heart sank. The annihilation calamity triggered by the primordial beginning is to erase everything. It is both mutually reinforcing and mutually restraining with my realm of creation. Once it fully unfolds, even I can only witness the demise of the universe. At most, I can make a backup in advance, and after the annihilation, I can reopen the world and recreate the universe. Tianhai addressed Chen Mobai's questions with a gentle expression. The moment she stayed behind to die with Qingnu, she had already completely accepted her brother-in-law. In that case, let's just get through this annihilation tribulation. After listening, Chen Mobai looked at the even more turbulent black hole vortexes erupting around him and thought of the most direct solution. Junior brother, only beings at the primordial realm can overcome this annihilation tribulation. Even I am powerless to help. As Tianhai spoke, he looked at Guiling, who had just proven that even the primordial Tao fruit could not be condensed when facing annihilation. Rumble. At this moment, the desolate crimson lotus at the center of the Eye of Calamity had fully bloomed, unleashing streaks of twisted, dark red lightning. This is the lightning of annihilation. Each strike can destroy the three realms. Seeing this, Tianhai sighed again. My heavenly river Tao fruit can still hold on for a while. You two should enjoy your last moments together. Upon hearing this, Qingnu's hopeful gaze dimmed once more. But Chen Mobai's eyes were bright as he looked at the tortoise spirit in front of him and said a thought that shocked Tianhai. Senior sister, what I mean is, I will come to overcome this annihilation tribulation. You haven't even entered the gate of the primordial demonic path. How can you possibly survive? This annihilation tribulation won't recognize you. Before Tianhai could speak, Guiling had already retorted. It's very simple. I will prove the origin of the primordial state. After speaking, Chen Mobai looked at Qingnu beside him, his face resolute. He was determined to forge a path to survival for himself and his wife. What do you mean? Gui Ling asked, puzzled, still not understanding what Chen Mobai wanted to do. Junior brother, are you really going to overcome this tribulation of annihilation? Tianhai, who was standing to the side, had already understood Chen Mobai's meaning and looked at his brother-in-law with even more admiration. It seems that my senior sister also thinks my method is feasible. Let's just try it as a last resort. Anyway, Gui Ling definitely can't survive. Maybe I'm better than her. Chen Mobai spoke up, saying that this was the only way he could think of to survive. So that's how it is, you want my entire cultivation. At this moment, Gui Ling finally realized what was going on, his face showing sudden understanding, and then his brows furrowed. Husband, only Qing Nu, whose cultivation level was the lowest, was completely confused and didn't know what Chen Mobai was going to do. Madam, the cultivation of demonic paths is not like the orthodox paths of the Xuanmen, which require gradual progress, step by step, breaking through one realm at a time. Chen Mobai explained to Qing Nu, reaching out to condense the primordial demonic talisman to show her. Previously, Senior Sister Guiling planted this demonic talisman in my body, taking away the holy virtue path that I had painstakingly cultivated throughout my life. But if she is willing, she can also let me use this primordial demonic talisman to plunder her 3,000 demonic paths. In that way, Chen Mobai would be able to immediately step into the primordial realm of the demonic path. This is the demonic path, which emphasizes quick success in taking shortcuts. Because his primordial realm originated from the tortoise spirit, this annihilation calamity will immediately regard him as the subject. In this way, it was Chen Mobai who was chosen to undergo the tribulation of annihilation. Since we're going to face the annihilation calamity anyway, facing it head-on with the primordial realm will definitely be more fulfilling than being swept away and annihilated as a peripheral figure. Moreover, what Gui Ling couldn't do, Chen Mobai might be able to do as well. Elder sister. Gui Ling looked at Tian Hai with a hesitant expression, but the latter nodded in agreement without any hesitation. While I can still sustain myself with the heavenly river Dao fruit, you should quickly give him all your cultivation. After hearing Tian Hai's words, Galing felt that even he himself could not overcome this tribulation, so it was certainly impossible for a mere acquired being to withstand it. However, it was indeed the only method they could try at the moment. You got off easy, kid. Gui Ling gritted his teeth and sat cross-legged with Chen Mobai on the primordial water control flag. With a clear shout, Chen Mobai activated the primordial demonic talisman technique. Although he had planted it on Du Menjian of the Red River before, this was the first time it had truly exerted its function of devouring and nourishing the original body. With the help of the tortoise spirit, the golden petal of the stone lotus between his eyebrows soon began to dim, while the primordial demonic talisman hollowed out between Chen Mobai's eyebrows seemed to crack open with a golden fissure. An endless holy virtue light flowed out, combining with his Tao body with ease, except this time it evolved into a holy demonic body. As time passed, King Nu saw her husband radiating a dark golden divine light, his face both holy and cold, his left eye flowing with golden light, and his right eye blazing with demonic flames, clearly not of the righteous path. This is the path of the saint and the demon. With my holy body, Narvan the demonic path. With a sharp shout, Chen Mobai's saintly demon body was perfected, and he immediately began to absorb the other 3,000 demonic paths with the primordial demonic talisman. The petals of the end-of-life stone lotus that bloomed between the tortoise spirit's brows, representing the great Tao, began to dissipate one by one, flowing back into Chen Mobai's body. Under the containment of his holy demon body, he ascended towards the primordial beginning at the fastest speed. During this process, Chen Mobai's body was also filled with twisted, violent, and cold demonic energy, and black blood was seeping out from his pores, and his body even cracked open. This is because the accumulation of the 3,000 demonic paths of the turtle spirit was too profound. Chen Mobai's primordial demonic talisman was not refined in time, and his holy demonic body was stretched open. Moreover, in the process of stepping into the primordial demonic path, each demonic path that merged into him transformed into a demonized Chen Mobai, vying with his original spirit for control of his body. These demonized Chen Mobais transformed into ferocious and terrifying demonic shadows in his purple mansion sea of consciousness, roaring and trying to drown his memories, corrupt his true spirit, and transform him into a truly emotionless world-destroying demon lord. However, with the return of the sacred path, Chen Mobai rekindled his inner fire amidst boundless demonic thoughts, purifying the demonic Chen Mobai who charged at him with ferocious faces. They are all firewood. As Chen Mobai spoke calmly, his previously distorted face suddenly began to radiate a warm, holy light, and the dark demonic energy around him was instantly cleansed by the holy fire. Strands of colorful light shone between Chen Mobai's eyebrows, transforming into a blooming stone lotus of doom. At the same time, the turtle spirit on the opposite side suddenly collapsed. This is because the final destiny that forms the foundation of her primordial body, along with the 3,000 great Taos, has been completely devoured by Chen Mobai. Tianhai immediately took action, and the scattered turtle spirit turned into wisps of smoke, condensing into a small turtle shell in her palm, which was exactly the shape of turtle treasure. Chen Mobai opened his eyes, feeling the unprecedented vast power within his body. Everything about the primordial realm flashed through his mind. Omniscient and omnipotent, now complete. He first bowed to Tianhai and the tortoise treasure in her palm, saying, "Thank you both for your kindness. Junior brother, I'll leave it to you then." Tianhai returned Chen Mobai's greeting with a solemn expression. At this moment, the light of the heavenly river Dao fruit had dimmed to its extreme, and it seemed that it was about to completely dissipate. Chen Mobai looked at Qingnu one last time. As their eyes met, Qingnu couldn't help but throw herself into his arms and hug him tightly. The two knew that this might be their last farewell. After all, this was a cataclysmic calamity that even the tortoise spirit could not overcome, and that even the heavens and seas were powerless to save. Chen Mobai reached out and gently patted his wife, sensing her reluctance, but still resolutely pushed her away. To ease Qingnu's worries, Chen Mobai confidently stepped out of the primordial water control flag. "Madam, I'm going to verify the origin of the primordial chaos. Please wait here for a moment." Chapter 1496, Nirvana in Nirvana. Chapter 1496, Nirvana in Nirvana. As Chen Mobai stepped out of the primordial water control banner, the raging torrent of annihilation that had been crashing down upon them began to split. The vast majority flowed towards him, but a small portion still landed on the heads of Gailing and Qingnu, only to be blocked by Tianhai. This means that Chen Mobai's guess was correct. He used the primordial demon talisman to absorb all of Gui Ling's cultivation, which indeed enabled him to overcome the annihilation tribulation. However, if he failed to overcome it, Gui Ling and Qingnu, as the source of the tribulation, would still be unable to escape even if they did not possess the primordial realm. Thinking of this, Chen Mobai's expression became even more resolute. This calamity of annihilation must be overcome. With that thought in mind, he no longer hesitated, activated the void demonic path, and in an instant he was far away from the primordial water control banner and stepped into the depths of chaos. But no matter how far he went, the crimson lotus of annihilation in the dark red eye above his head remained firmly aimed at him. Soon, Chen Mobai's figure stopped, because the annihilating torrent had surged in from all directions, with black holes of obliteration everywhere, leaving no room for evasion. "Let me see what makes you so special." With a soft whisper, Chen Mobai stood amidst the chaos, a resolute glint in his eyes. His body radiated a brilliant golden holy light as he stepped forward, colliding with the annihilation black hole that had initially fallen before him. With a deafening roar, the black hole exploded, and the aura of annihilation scattered in all directions. Chen Mobai stood motionless, his primordial body completely unharmed. He resembled a demon god, his mouth agape, swallowing chaos. With a wave of his hand, 3,000 demonic paths flowed, their vast and terrifying energy tearing apart and dissolving one black hole vortex after another. This is the terrifying aspect of the primordial demonic path. It can destroy everything. But as time passed, the black hole vortexes that Chen Mobai had shattered transformed into dark red currents that surged upwards and merged into the blooming, silent red lotus above his head. Then a blood-red lotus petal fell, like a willow leaf drifting in the wind, but with an elusive trajectory, gently landing on the left shoulder of Chen Mobai's primordial body. Even with Chen Mobai's current level of cultivation, he couldn't dodge it, because the annihilation red lotus had completely locked onto him. Laugh. The moment the crimson lotus petals landed on his body, the holy light around Chen Mobai began to dim considerably. Then, an indescribable pain instantly swept over every inch of his primordial body, and his nearly ninth-order Dao body dissolved at an astonishing speed. It was at this moment that Chen Mobai understood why Taixu and Tianhai were both helpless against the annihilation tribulation. Because all matter and power born in the universe, no matter how they transform and sublimate, ultimately originate from those most primordial particles of the great Tao. Before annihilation, everything will return to its most primordial state. Even the pure yang and the creation itself, as long as they haven't transcended the universe, will be reduced to their original state when faced with annihilation. The pure yang energy will have all its spiritual memories washed away, transforming into two most primordial innate paths. Fortunately, fate is on our side. We can resist and dodge. But the primordial beginning cannot be avoided, only resisted, because the primordial beginning is the cause, and nirvana is the effect. Only by transcending nirvana can one condense the primordial Tao fruit. Chen Mobai's shoulder, which had been eroded by the lotus petals, had already transformed into the most primitive Tao particles, and was immediately annihilated and transformed, growing into a crimson lotus as red as blood. A flash of holy light appeared, and Chen Mobai, expressionless, gripped the Yuan Yang sword, severing half of his body along with the red lotus. As it turned out, his decisiveness was correct. The body severed by the sword was quickly covered by clusters of annihilating red lotuses, eventually transforming into a void of annihilation black hole that engulfed him. Chen Mobai swung his sword into the black hole formed by his own body, then used the sword as a bridge, and the stone lotus at the bottom of his brow bloomed with colorful light, containing the power of annihilation with the primordial demonic path. Under his omniscience and omnipotence, Chen Mobai had long understood that in order to overcome this calamity, he needed to incorporate nirvana into the primordial Tao fruit. Only in that way can the primordial realm be perfected. But this step is also the most dangerous. If it fails, the soul will be scattered and utterly annihilated. Soon, a bright red lotus petal appeared in the stone lotus of destiny between Chen Mobai's eyebrows, and the annihilation black hole pierced by the Yuan Yang sword had been completely swallowed up. Then, a pitch-black dot appeared at the very center of the final stone lotus. A terrifying suction force emerged, and the annihilating torrents surging from all directions in the chaos began to be continuously swallowed by this pitch-black dot. After acquiring the power of annihilation, Chen Mobai felt that his primordial demonic path had reached the limit that his body could currently withstand. His expression was resolute, and without any hesitation, he activated his true spirit and took the final step of the primordial beginning. What happened to Gui Ling also happened to him. The singularity at the center of the final stone lotus suddenly reversed its rotation, and then the boundless power of annihilation was frantically drawn out and forcibly poured into Chen Mobai's body, pushing the power of the primordial beginning to its peak. These annihilating powers, enough to instantly annihilate a true immortal Tao Lord, were now forcibly restrained and compressed by the rotating primordial singularity, and guided towards the complex 3,000 demonic paths, refining them again and again into the purest Tao particles, which were then melted and condensed into primordial Tao fruits. During this process, Chen Mobai's skin, flesh, bones, and meridians were gradually annihilated, and his entire being vanished into nothingness. For Chen Mobai at his current level, the body is merely a vessel for consciousness. He can condense an innate Tao body at any time if he so desires. However, his consciousness and true spirit are slowly disappearing and being erased in the midst of annihilation, as if they are about to turn into a blank space. He ignited the fire in his heart with holiness, wanting to protect his last vestiges of consciousness. However, the calamity of annihilation was so terrifying that even saintly virtue could only allow him to hold on for a little longer. In the end, Chen Mobai's body, along with his true spirit, was annihilated in the chaos, along with the pitch-black singularity that had expanded to its limit after devouring the power of annihilation. On the primordial water control flag, Tianhai, who was constantly monitoring the situation, saw this scene and his eyes dimmed. "My husband." When King Nu saw the previously shrunken crimson lotus of annihilation above her head suddenly grow huge again, locking onto them as they fell, her face turned deathly pale, her eyes lifeless, devoid of any will to live. Clicking. A sound like jade shattering or tree bark cracking rang out, waking Chen Mobai from the endless darkness. What happened? Where is this? Am I not undergoing a period of annihilation? Just as Chen Mobai realized the impending annihilation, his still, somewhat drowsy consciousness suddenly awoke. He opened his eyes and found himself unable to move. Although he had a body, he was bound to the earth like a tree. Wrong. With a shift in his consciousness, Chen Mobai realized that he was now a tree. A jade tree, as clear and translucent as jade, bearing abundant fruits of the Tao. He was very familiar with the surroundings, because this was the jade flat small world of the Dance Weapon Academy, and his consciousness was currently within the jade tree in the pill cauldron. I died, and then I was resurrected at the nirvana point. Chen Mobai quickly figured out what had happened. He was cautious by nature, and after refining the pill cauldron jade tree, he used the great Tao of nirvana to designate this place as his nirvana point. As long as his physical body dies, his true spirit can be resurrected and return here. But this was no ordinary death for him. Instead, he died in the annihilation of the world. Even a pure Yang powerhouse, after being annihilated, will have his true spirit dissipate and transform into the purest Tao. Why is he able to be resurrected here at Dan Ding Yushu? Could it be because of the path to nirvana? Chen Mobai quickly realized the key point. In the pure yang scroll that Zixio Daozun taught him, there were 3 pure yang paths, the last of which were the 2 innate great Taos of nirvana and annihilation. At that time, Chen Mobai knew nothing about nirvana. And now, he can be said to be the person in the entire universe who has the most profound understanding of the Tao of nirvana. Because only he faced annihilation, died and was resurrected. Even so, Chen Mobai still found his current situation unbelievable. After all, when he set up the nirvana point, his cultivation level had not yet reached the Tao integration stage, and his understanding of the great Tao of nirvana was only superficial. Could it be that the great Tao of nirvana can erase everything, but cannot erase the great Tao of rebirth? The more Chen Mobai thought about it, the more convinced he became that this was the truth behind his true spirit's rebirth and return on the jade tree in the elixir cauldron. But soon he began to tremble all over. Although he has achieved nirvana, Qing Nu is still undergoing tribulation. Now that he's dead, the next goal of the annihilation calamity is to completely annihilate Turtle's spirit and Green Maiden. Not good. Realizing this, Chen Mobai immediately activated the Pure Yang Scroll. Soon, the pill cauldron jade tree rooted in the jade flat small world began to tremble, and endless streams of light flashed and condensed, and a human figure emerged on the tree trunk. As the pure spiritual energy from the small realm surged in, Chen Mobai had already reconstituted his phoenix primordial spirit and flew out from the jade tree in the pill cauldron. After being resurrected, the first thing Chen Mobai did was to open the jade plane minor world. Principal, you've emerged from seclusion. The opening of the small realm naturally did not escape the notice of the nascent soul cultivators of the Dance Weapon Academy. Soon, Deng Daoyun flew over and greeted Chen Mobai respectfully the moment he saw him. What time is it now? Chen Mobai immediately asked, and became even more anxious after receiving the answer. Just then a silver light enveloped him. In the blink of an eye, Chen Mobai disappeared from the spot. Deng Daoyun was not surprised by this, and assumed that the principal had used the void shift technique to leave. But in reality, a powerful being manipulated the void to take Chen Mobai away from Earth origin star. The endless starry sky flashed before his eyes, and in the blink of an eye, Chen Mobai arrived at the very center of the Zixio universe, the central dojo. With a flash of silver light, Chen Mobai arrived at a starry sky palace. The true king of Taixu stood before him, looking at him with relief. Junior brother, I knew you would be all right. Chapter 1497, Refining Creation, Proving Primordial Beginning, Grand Finale. Chapter 1497, Refining Creation, Proving Primordial Beginning, Grand Finale. Senior brother, how is the 3 realms doing now? The moment Chen Mobai saw the true king of Taixu, he immediately asked about the matter he cared about most. Alas, my condolences to my junior brother. He has already turned into nothingness in the chaos, sighed the true king of the void. And what about my wife? Chen Mobai couldn't accept it, but the somber expression on Taixu Zhenwang's face clearly foreshadowed his fate. Neither Gui Ling nor he survived the annihilation tribulation, and Qing Nu must have already died in the chaos. Seeing Chen Mobai's despondent expression, Taixu Zhenwang felt a pang of pity and offered an idea, hoping to give him a new goal to strive for. Junior brother, although junior sister Guiling has perished, if you can transcend in the future and attain eternity, you might be able to revive her in the past. Your return from nirvana in this state of annihilation signifies that you are destined to be connected with this primordial Tao. You may try to relinquish your saintly virtues and merge with the Tao to achieve primordial nirvana. After the annihilation Red Lotus annihilated junior sister Guiling, the power of the annihilation Tao has weakened to its lowest point since the creation of the Zixio universe. With the pure Yang scroll taught by your master, you can use nirvana to correspond with annihilation and attain the pure Yang realm. By then, I will have reached the creation realm and be able to leave the purple cloud universe to pursue a higher eternal realm. Once I leave, with your talent, attaining the creation realm will be just around the corner. As for how to achieve eternity after creation, the true king of the void didn't elaborate, because even he wasn't entirely confident about it. But at least, these things gave Chen Mobai the motivation to get back on his feet. Eternal. As he murmured to himself, Chen Mobai's previously gloomy eyes regained their brilliance. Seeing this, the true king of the void nodded secretly, then waved his hand, and a blank void Tao body appeared in the hall. Junior brother, the void Tao body can be transformed into any innate Tao body. If you refine it, it will be easier for you to cultivate the nirvana Tao. Chen Mobai nodded and bowed to Take Su Zhenwang. Thank you, senior brother. Junior brother, do you plan to continue on Earth Origin Star or stay in this central dojo? I think it's better to stay. I've just completed my merits and need to go into seclusion to cultivate the creation realm. You are my junior brother, and I feel at ease in trusting the dojo to you. With a sincere expression, Take-Su Zhenwang expressed his intention to entrust the foundation of the Zixel lineage to Chen Mobai. Chen Mobai had no objection to this. Compared to Earth Origin Star, the progress in cultivation at the central dojo would definitely be faster. However, he still said that he needed to go back first to explain the matters of the immortal sect. In that case, when junior brother wants to come back, he can simply activate this void spirit talisman. Take-Su Zhenwang handed a silver talisman to Chen Mobai, then waved his sleeve, already activating the void Tao, and sent the latter back to the Dance Weapon Academy. Principal, you're back. Deng Daiyun reappeared before Chen Mobai and greeted him respectfully. Just then a sword light cleaved through the void and a white figure stepped out. She saw Chen Mobai and exclaimed with delight, "You're back. You truly are my husband. Even the annihilation tribulation couldn't kill you." The moment Chen Mobai saw the white light, Qing Nu's face flashed through his mind again, and he felt a pang of pain in his heart. I know that in your heart I am not as good as her, but she is gone. Now that you are back, let's live a good life as a family of three. Seeing Chen Mobai's expression, Bai Guang also restrained his temper and gently persuaded him. Yes, King Nu's memories are unforgettable, but she also needs to cherish the family members in front of her. Thinking of this, Chen Mobai followed Bai Guang to see his daughter. Next, he was going to the central dojo. If possible, he hoped that his family members could come with him. Although Bai Guang was not very willing, she followed her husband wherever he went. Chen Ziohe had no objections whatsoever. She was ready to lie down anywhere, no matter where she was. Moreover, it's from the countryside of the earthly element star to the center of the universe. On the immortal sect side, all the high-ranking cultivators did not hesitate at all when they heard that they could go to the central dojo. In the end, Wenren Zuwei, Yu Yi, Mei Hua, and Bei Ming, who were the least senior among the nascent soul cultivators, were chosen to stay and guard the place. In addition, Chen Mobai also planned to bring a group of elites from the immortal sects, those at the nascent soul and core formation stages, to arrange for their families. Upon learning the news, Meng Huanger immediately sent a text message. Chen Mobai ignored her because he was with Yan Bingxuan. In what capacity should I go with you? After listening, Yan Bingxuan looked directly at Chen Mobai and asked this question. Chen Mobai was speechless. He didn't want to lie to her. I think I won't go. Come visit me when you have time. Not getting a reply and not wanting to disrupt Chen Mobai's family, Yan Bingxuan stated her decision. Xuaner, do you believe in fate? As he left, Chen Mobai suddenly saw a branch of the river of time. This is a branch of fate where Qing Nu did not reincarnate into the earthly star, and he did not obtain the turtle treasure. Yan Bingxuan hesitated for a moment, then nodded. She felt that the appearance of Chen Mobai, a Tao-merging immortal, in the earthly star was surely a blessing from fate, and that her being able to have a relationship with him was even more so. Chen Mobai looked at her, his eyes filled with beautiful memories. At the crossroads of time, I saw myself as an ordinary cultivator from the immortal sect. I went to an ordinary third-rate academy, and after graduation I failed to establish my foundation. When I returned to Danxia City to prepare to enlist in the army, my squad leader called us to a class reunion. You were pulled over by her, and the two of us happened to sit together. You weren't lucky either. You failed to establish your foundation at the Natural Academy. You originally planned to join the army, but we both drank too much that night. I confessed to you how I had longed for you for many years. You looked into my eyes and decided to try talking to me. After that, we found that our personalities were very compatible, and we got married and started a family very quickly. After you became pregnant, you were exempted from military service and gave birth to a son and a daughter for me. While I was in the military, I was also very motivated to cultivate myself in order to create a better future for you and the children. In the end, I was very fortunate to successfully establish my foundation. After I retired from the military, I prepared a set of the 3 treasures for foundation building for you. You succeeded, and we lived happily ever after, watching our children grow up, surrounded by our grandchildren. Finally, when our lifespans ran out, we passed away together with smiles on our faces. Although Chen Mobai has undergone nirvana, his essence, which is close to the primordial realm, remains. Through the great Tao of destiny, he saw the ending of himself and Yan Bingxuan on another branch of destiny. Or rather, most of the storylines in his life revolve around his and Yan Bingxuan's happy life together. The main thread of fate that is currently flowing has deviated because the tortoise spirit was reincarnated as the Green Maiden. I wish it were true. After listening, Yan Bingxuan's eyes revealed a look of longing. Chen Mobai was deeply moved. He pursed his lips, turned to leave, but then stopped. Just as Yan Bingxuan was wondering what was going on, Chen Mobai couldn't help but turn around and hug her. After this universe is destroyed, I will create a new world, and at that time you will be my wife. After saying this, Chen Mobai released Yan Bingxuan and disappeared from the spot. A moment later, glistening tears streamed down Yan Bingxuan's usually aloof face. After instructing Kaixing to include Meng Huinger in the list of those going to the central dojo, Chen Mobai returned to the Jade Flat small realm. Before leaving, he wanted to leave behind some legacy and resources for the Dance Weapon Academy. He didn't intend to take the elixir tree with him. Considering that the 3 bluebird Dharma images left by Dan Ding Dao Ren had already been used up, Chen Mobai planned to follow his junior brother's example and also leave 3 primordial spirit Dharma images. Any student of Wu Chi Dao Academy who cultivated to the nascent soul stage could use them to enter Zai Zio Palace once. Chen Mobai's current achievements are not only due to Gui Bao, but also largely thanks to Zixio Palace. Without the Purple Cloud Taoist Venerable taking him as a disciple in the past, he probably wouldn't have reached the Tao integration realm, nor would he have gained the recognition of his senior brothers and sisters like the true King of the Void. After leaving behind his 3 Phoenix Dharma images, Chen Mobai had a thought and stepped into the Purple Cloud Palace. Although he has not yet reunited with the great way of holy virtue after his resurrection, this supreme treasure still recognizes him as its master. Please forgive me, teacher, but I have left your illusory image from the past 3 classes for the successor of junior brother Dan Ding's lineage. Chen Mobai bowed solemnly to the blue lotus stone platform in front of the futon, even though it was empty. After he finished speaking, neither the Purple Cloud Palace nor the Azure Lotus Stone platform reacted. Chen Mobai took this as Purple Cloud Taoist's tacit agreement and began to set up the video according to the 3 Phoenix Dharma images he had left behind. He retrieved the relevant content from his past memories of these 3 lessons and planned to review them as well, especially the lesson where Taoist Zixia taught him the Pure Yang Scroll. After all, he plans to focus on the 2 innate paths of nirvana and annihilation in the future, and he hopes to have the opportunity to ask his teacher for guidance again. Just as Chen Mobai was thinking this, he suddenly realized that the memories he had extracted from his mind were turning into reality one by one in Zixio Palace. One by one, familiar senior brothers and sisters seemed to have walked out from the past and sat on their own prayer cushions. Junior brother, the teacher is here. Why don't you take a seat quickly? At that moment, a stern voice rang in Chen Mobai's ears. It was Saibai, who was sitting on the second futon. Chen Mobai came to his senses and turned his head to see that Taoist Zixio had already sat on the green lotus stone platform. Unlike before when he entered this class through the 3 bluebird Dharma image of the pill cauldron, this time, Chen Mobai stood in front of the 7th futon in the first row. He quickly sat down, and before Taoist Zixio could begin speaking, he glanced at Tianhai, who was riding on a tortoise spirit beside him. The latter looked very serious and even took out his notes. Chen Mobai then turned to look at the prayer mats in the back row. The first person in the second row was still red-haired. He saw the herbal medicine doctor in the corner of the second row. There's also Wang Ji in the third row and Dan Ding behind him. The 2 are whispering to each other. Just then, the voice of the Purple Cloud Taoist began to sermon, and Chen Mobai immediately turned around and began to listen attentively. Teacher, how can we attain eternity and change the past? After the lecture, Chen Mobai was the first to raise his hand and ask, even before Tianhai could. Yixing and the others looked over in surprise. The past is fixed and cannot be changed. But the Purple Cloud Taoist said something like this. After hearing this, Chen Mobai was terrified and his face showed despair. If the past cannot be changed, wouldn't that mean that Qing Nu has completely disappeared? Teacher, I heard senior brother Taksu say that the eternal realm can resurrect people who died in the past. Is that really not possible? Holding on to hope, Chen Mobai continued to ask. Junior brother, after class, each person can only ask the teacher one question. The compassionate teacher, who was maintaining classroom discipline, couldn't help but remind Chen Mobai when he was so unruly. It's all right. Suddenly, Taoist Zixel spoke, his deep, unfathomable eyes meeting Chen Mobai's as he answered the question. The past cannot be changed, but seizing the present can change the future. It can even carve out the destiny you desire within the river of time. After listening, Chen Mobai looked puzzled. I don't understand the meaning of the first half of the sentence from the purple cloud Taoist. He understood the second half of the sentence. It was about using the realm of eternity to open up a branch of fate and create an ending where Qing Nu was still alive and had not been annihilated. But is that King Nu still his wife, with whom he shared life and death, and went to his demise together? Chen Mobai looked bewildered. However, since this opportunity to learn from Master Zixia was rare, and it was already said that it was all right, he immediately seized the opportunity and asked his third question. Please teach me the method of eternity, Master. Regardless, we must at least create a future where King Nu is still alive. Didn't we already send the message to you? However, the purple cloud Taoist master replied with this sentence. Upon hearing this, Yizing Ci Bei Tian Hai and the others all showed expressions of shock and looked at their junior brother, Chen Mobai. Only one thought crossed my mind. How can the teacher be so biased? When Chen Mobai heard these words, he was stunned and stood there dumbfounded. After a long while, he raised his head and solemnly bowed to Taoist Zixia. Thank you for your guidance, Master. After speaking, Chen Mobai rose from the futon, and then the Zixia Palace in Tianhai and the others around him all vanished like a dream. In the midst of chaos, a wisp of inner fire suddenly ignited within Chen Mobai, who was at the singularity of the void of annihilation. In an instant, it transformed into a holy lamp of inner virtue, illuminating and dispelling the darkness of the singularity. Soon, a huge vortex formed around the heart lamp, which was being devoured by boundless chaotic energy. Even the annihilating torrent was pulled and turned into fuel for the heart lamp to burn. A vast, boundless, yet seemingly ethereal spirituality revived from the ashes. With the emergence of this spirituality, Chen Mobai's consciousness, memories, emotions, cultivation, and everything else that constituted his existence, which had originally dissipated in the annihilation tribulation, began to return with him as the pivot. Thump! A faint heartbeat, seemingly echoing through the chaos, emanated from the void singularity. On the surface of the singularity, a tiny crack quietly appeared. The crack spread like an eggshell breaking. A long, slender, and perfectly formed hand emerged from the crack. Immediately afterwards, Chen Mobai, who had been annihilated, stepped out of the void step by step. Her long, jet-black hair cascaded down, flowing with the faint, fading light of countless stars. Her skin was fair and translucent, yet no trace of power or the Tao could be sensed within it. With a casual gesture, Chen Mobai condensed the surrounding chaos into a gray robe, concealing his primordial body that had returned from annihilation. A familiar rumbling sound came from behind. Chen Mobai looked up and saw that the dark red eye of calamity in the sky was still there. The annihilating torrent that it was emitting had completely erupted after it sensed his return, evolving into endless dark lightning that crashed down with terrifying power to annihilate everything. Chen Mobai remained calm and indifferent, raising his hand and waving it lightly. In an instant, the cataclysmic calamity that had worried Taixu for millennia was split in two. Chen Mobai reached out and grasped the fully bloomed crimson lotus of annihilation in the center of the cracked eye of calamity. He then opened his mouth and swallowed it whole, much to Tianhai's astonishment. After consuming the crimson lotus of annihilation, the stone lotus of doom between Chen Mobai's brows finally reached its complete perfection. All 3,000 petals bloomed, and the infinite colors merged, ultimately transforming into a pitch-black lotus. This is the primordial Tao fruit. It turns out that what he thought was a rebirth from annihilation was actually a tribulation aimed at annihilating his true spirit. It was not just an annihilation tribulation, but a primordial tribulation. Every being who aspires to attain the primordial beginning must overcome this primordial heart tribulation in order to return from the void. Previously, Gui Ling was about to begin this process when he was interrupted by the true king of the void. However, even if the true king of the void hadn't invoked the tribulation of annihilation, Chen Mobai estimated that Gui Ling still wouldn't have been able to overcome it. After all, even someone as resolute in his Taoist convictions became addicted to it. He was able to get through it thanks to the timely wake-up call from Taoist Zixao. No matter how strong the primordial heart tribulation is, once it evolves into an existence of the eternal realm, it will be perceived by the eternal being. Chen Mobai was very lucky. He was a disciple of the Purple Cloud Taoist. After gaining enlightenment, he broke through the mental tribulation. His consciousness returned from nothingness, condensed the primordial Tao fruit, and officially stepped into the ninth order primordial realm. As for the initial formation of the primordial beginning, the so-called annihilation calamity, it was nothing more than firewood to Chen Mobai. Looking around, Chen Mobai took another deep breath, and soon the remaining torrent of annihilation was absorbed into his body. The chaos that had been shaken by the impending annihilation began to quiet down again, flowing gently like a stream around Chen Mobai. After the calamity dissipated, Chen Mobai's figure disappeared from the spot and returned to the primordial water control flag. "Senior sister, I have successfully completed my mission." Chen Mobai smiled slightly at Tianhai and said. King Nu could no longer hold back and threw herself into his arms, weeping with joy. "Congratulations, junior brother, on attaining the Tao of primordial beginning." Tianhai was genuinely happy for Chen Mobai. After all, he was not only her junior brother, but also her brother-in-law. The tortoise spirit in her palm also manifested its appearance from back in Zixao Palace, looking at Chen Mobai, who had survived the tribulation of annihilation with a face full of shock and disbelief. "I'll have to trouble you to take care of my sister from now on. This heavenly river Tao fruit contains my understanding of creation, so please keep it safe, junior brother." Tianhai handed over the tortoise treasure and the heavenly river Tao fruit to Chen Mobai, who did not refuse. "It just so happens that I am planning to reopen the three realms and forge the 3,000 great Taos into creation. With senior sister's heavenly river Tao fruit, I can save a lot of effort." After Chen Mobai took it, he gave the tortoise treasure to King Nu since it was her. Although King Nu was somewhat resistant, she pouted and accepted it because she knew that she was able to form a bond with Chen Mobai through this. Chen Mobai held the heavenly river Tao fruit in his palm, and with a slight sense, he already understood the mysteries of the creation realm. Moreover, Tianhai had also backed up his creation of the three realms in it, and he only needed to use the power of the primordial beginning to reproduce it. Chen Mobai slightly raised his hand and made a slash towards the chaos below. In an instant, chaos was created, and the five elements began to circulate. In the blink of an eye, heaven and earth are restored. With a breath, wind, rain, thunder, and lightning. Wherever the gaze falls, the galaxy is reshaped. With Tianhai's help, the three realms destroyed by the turtle spirit reappeared before their eyes. Moreover, compared to before, the three realms were more perfect this time, because Chen Mobai alone could use the power of the primordial beginning to evolve the 3,000 great Taos. At the moment the three realms were created, Chen Mobai also easily forged the power of creation through the heavenly river Tao fruit and achieved the creation realm. Tianjin Tianhai was extremely surprised by this. After all, she is the creator, but she has not yet proven the origin. Could it be that the primordial beginning is even above creation? Just as Tianhai was thinking this, Chen Mobai sat upright on the newly opened three-realm starry sky, with the two realms of creation and primordial beginning in opposition within his body. Soon the void was dyed black and white, eventually becoming a unified whole, turning into a chaotic and indistinct gray. The moment that wisp of ash appeared, Tianhai realized that he could no longer fathom Chen Mobai's aura. Chen Mobai emerged as a wisp of ash, and after verifying the method taught by Taoist Zixao, he stopped. "Junior brother, could this be?" Tianhai looked shocked, as if he had realized something. "This is eternity. The pure Yang realm is actually a realm created by our teacher to help us adapt to eternity in advance. However, pure Yang is the opposition of two innate great paths, while eternity is the opposition of creation and origin, ultimately becoming one and transcending the other shore." Chen Mobai then revealed to Zixao Daozun the method concerning eternity. "I see. I've actually thought about this too, but I wasn't confident I could survive the annihilation tribulation, so I never dared to try." Tianhai nodded, looking enlightened. After experiencing eternity, Chen Mobai guessed something and said to Tianhai, "Teacher, it should be the origin of the previous universe." After Chen Mobai proved the primordial beginning, he opened up the three realms and forged the power of creation, thus seeing the realm of eternity. After creating the purple cloud Tao Venerable, he transcended eternally and departed. Clearly, he had already attained the primordial beginning before that. It is probably for this reason that Chen Mobai, the youngest disciple, was able to inherit his mantle. Junior brother, now that everything is resolved, I must also disperse this thought. I hope that we can meet again in the chaos in the future. With his worries resolved, Tianhai smiled and took his leave. Elder sister, the turtle spirit in King Nu's palm, was very reluctant to part with it. Newborn in the three realms, you must spend the rest of your life making amends for the mistakes you have made. After scolding Guiling, Tianhai couldn't help but reach out and touch her, and finally hugged the somewhat reserved King Nu before dispelling his will. Young master, without Tianhai's consciousness, the blue-haired girl transformed back into the spirit of the primordial water control flag. Looking at the now completely different Chen Mobai, she immediately stopped speaking and changed her words. Greetings, Lord Yuanqi. Never mind, you can just call him son-in-law. Chen Mobai shook his head, stood with Qing Nu on the primordial water control flag, surveying the newly opened three realms. Unlike before its destruction, everything was empty and devoid of any living beings. However, the spiritual energy was extremely abundant. Seeing the unclaimed seventh-order spiritual veins scattered across the land, Qing Nu wished she could plant the five-element sects banner on them all. It takes time for them to reproduce before they can evolve into life. Through his omniscience and omnipotence, Chen Mobai saw the method by which the great Tao operates and life is born. However, that would take a very, very long time. King Nu didn't care, as long as she could be with Chen Mobai. But Chen Mobai has now reached the highest level of cultivation and wants to relax and enjoy life. I will do my best to help you, madam. Please wait a moment while I go back. Xuan Palace. With a flick of his sleeve, the true king of the void casually conjured a star system in a corner of the empty universe after the devastation of the annihilation calamity. He then opened his true realm of the void and instructed the star illusion Tao Lord. Properly settle the beings of the three realms, especially those of my junior brother's lineage. Yes, Tao ancestor. As soon as Xingyuan Daijun finished speaking, a loud hum was heard. The true king of the void was startled and turned to look at the void gate, which had already been closed. Amidst the horrified gazes of the crowd, the gate of the void was pushed open a crack. Just when they thought the annihilation was about to surge back and their faces showed despair, a clear and familiar voice came from behind the door. No need for you to trouble yourself, senior brother. Let the beings of the three realms go home. The gate of the void opened, and Chen Mobai, with a lotus flower blooming between his brows, stepped out with a smile. When the true king of the void saw Chen Mobai standing before him, he could not sense his realm or existence at all. Upon seeing the black lotus between his brows, he thought of a possibility and couldn't help but tremble. He couldn't help but ask, Junior brother, have you attained the primordial realm? Yuanqi. Upon hearing this, Chen Mobai smiled slightly and said, that was my previous realm. End of text. Epilogue Chapter 1498. Epilogue Chapter 1498. Since the primordial Taoist master created heaven and earth, the three realms were reborn from chaos. Although it still follows the three-realm structure, the vastness of the realms is more than 10,000 times greater than the three realms created by the heavenly sea jellyfish. Moreover, as the primordial Taoists continued to create chaos in the outer heavens, evolving earth, wind, water, and fire, and giving rise to the 3,000 great Taos, the three realms continued to expand, and were already almost as large as the Zixil universe, forming a complete great thousand world. To distinguish it from the previous three realms, the new three realms were named Primordial Realm by the returning beings. Dongzhu Hanying Lake. As a direct disciple of the primordial Taoist, the cave dwelling of Fairy Luo Yixun of Nanshan was originally only a fifth-order spiritual vein. However, after the world was reopened, the Taoist introduced a branch of the primordial spiritual vein, and it is now a seventh-order immortal vein. Inside the cave, Luo Yixun, whose cultivation had reached the peak of the nascent soul stage, was comprehending the great Tao of life and death, hoping to reach a higher level and enter the void refinement realm. Chen Mobai recreated the world, using the backup in the heavenly river Tao fruit as a sample, but the fundamental 3,000 great Taos were evolved by him using his own primordial power. Therefore, the cultivation of all true immortals and Tao lords in the three realms regressed to the primordial era. After the return of the Supreme Emperor, the heavenly consort, and others, their cultivation levels all dropped to the peak of the void refinement stage. Because the great Tao is no longer the one they once shared. But this is actually a good thing for them. Especially for true immortal Tao lords like Tianfei who have merged with the acquired Tao, this opportunity can be used to sublimate their acquired Tao. For these beings of seventh order essence, returning their Tao from the acquired to the innate at the sixth order is not considered difficult. However, after the transformation, merging with the innate Tao remains an insurmountable chasm. In the past 1,000 years, only a handful of them have broken through the previous constraints and become innate Tao lords. For those who were originally innate Tao lords, such as the Supreme Emperor Heavenly King and the Flame Sparrow Heavenly King, merging with their own great Tao was an easy matter. However, they understood that this opportunity was rare, so they all chose to comprehend the innate great Tao that was opposed to their previous cultivation. After all, they couldn't be like the primordial Taoist, who could directly attain the primordial beginning, refine creation, and achieve eternity in one step after merging with the Tao. According to the orthodox Xuanmen Tao, one still needs to reach the pure Yang realm. If one could merge with another innate great Tao in the primordial realm, and then combine it with the foundation gained from merging with the Tao in the three realms, the pure Yang realm would be a very promising destination. It is precisely for this reason that, although the primordial realm was in a primordial state, full of rare and precious materials, and even the roadside weeds contained spiritual materials containing the innate Yu-Wood essence, many powerful beings who returned from the Zixia universe chose to go into seclusion. There are only 49 innate Tao paths. If one does not seize this opportunity when the primordial realm is first created, then for hundreds of millions of years to come, no matter how high one's talent, one can only stop at the 7th level and become an acquired Tao Lord. Although Luo Yixuan was Chen Mobai's true disciple, in this struggle for the great Tao, it was impossible for the original true immortal Tao Lords of the three realms to wait forever, leaving the great Tao of innate life and death empty. As one innate great Tao after another is merged, there will always be people who try to merge the innate great Tao of life and death. For example, the great Chinese tun tree that was transplanted from Chen Mobai's realm and planted at the entrance of the primordial heaven. There's also the netherworld Tao Lord of Xuan Yuan heaven. As the 9th son of the Ghost Mother and a disciple of Tian Hai, he naturally possesses the great righteousness of inheriting the innate great Tao of life and death. Fortunately, the path to enlightenment is difficult, which gave Luo Yixuan and other younger generations a chance to catch up. However, there are also differences in skill level among the disciples. Zhang Zhengheng and Zhu Ming had already successfully completed the void refinement stage in the vibrant new environment of the primordial realm. The former, who was in charge of the Tao laws, led the human race of the three realms to live in peace and prosperity, spread human civilization, and enlighten all living beings at the beginning of the creation when all the great powers were in seclusion. Zhu Ming was even more extraordinary. When she was cultivating the void, all 5 innate virtues resonated with her. The 5 great paths of saintly virtue, morality, fortune, merit, and yin virtue each manifested magnificent auras, vying to merge with her, which attracted Chen Mobai, who had created chaos in the outer heavens, to personally descend. In the end, Zhu Ming chose the most familiar path of virtue and fortune. After learning this news, the powerful immortals who were comprehending the great Tao also consciously avoided the innate great Taos that were opposed to virtue and fortune. Clearly, Zhu Ming, as the successor of the primordial Taoist, will definitely become a pure Yang being in the future. To engage in a great struggle with her is to contend with the primordial Tao Venerable, a path that leads to certain death. Compared to Zhu Ming and Zhang Zhengheng, Chen Mobai's other 3 disciples are inferior. Ku Zhu and Luo Yixuan are stuck at the peak of the nascent soul stage, while Liu Wenbai only barely reached the nascent soul stage 100 years ago. It is precisely for this reason that Luo Yixuan has worked incredibly hard over the past few hundred years, spending all her time in seclusion in her own cave, except when she visits Chen Mobai in the primordial heaven. Because as long as one can cultivate the void and step into the innate great Tao of life and death, then other powerful beings will be wary of her, because she is the disciple of the primordial Tao Venerable, and may even give way to her. Time flies by. Lake Hanying is as smooth as a mirror, its tranquil surface unfathomably deep, as if leading to the underworld. The primordial spiritual vein here was specially created by Chen Mobai for Luo Yixuan, drawing the convergence of life and death energies to connect with the underworld, where the Taoist principles of innate life and death evolve. Deep within the heart of the lake, in a crystal-clear cave carved from cold jade, Luo Yixuan has been sitting quietly for 371 years. Her skin was snow-white, almost transparent, and her breath was so faint it seemed to have ceased, like an ancient ice sculpture. Only a faint spark of spirituality between her brows, like a candle flickering in the wind, stubbornly pulsed in the deathly silence, sensing the omnipresent Tao of life and death in this place. A fiery cloud flew in from afar and landed outside Haining Lake, from which two female cultivators stepped out. The leading female cultivator, dressed in the immortal robes of the five-element sects leader, was none other than Han Jiling, the third-generation eldest disciple of the Xiaonanchan lineage, and beside her was Zhang Siju, the next sect leader. This disciple, by order of my master, pays respects to Uncle Master Luo. Han Jiling stood outside the great formation of Haining Lake and called out 3 times, but there was no response. It seemed that senior sister Luo is still in seclusion. Zhang Siju is Qing Nu's disciple, and her seniority is higher than Han Jiling's, so she calls Luo Yixuan's senior sister. Her cultivation has already reached the nascent soul stage, but because she cultivates the pure Yang scroll, it took her a lot of time to transform into a pure Yang Dao body. Moreover, Qing Nu hopes that she can break through to the divine transformation stage naturally, so she is still polishing her before reaching the threshold of divine transformation. It just so happens that Han Jiling is about to step down as sect leader, so let her take over. Then let's put the talisman at the door. My master will see it when he comes out of seclusion. Han Jiling used the Tongshan instrument to explain the situation and sent it to Luo Yixuan via text message. Then, she took out a primal spirit void talisman from her storage bag and put it down. Just as she was about to leave with Zhang Siju and head to the next cave of Elder Yin Qingmei of the Five Elements sect, Liujia Mountain, a tremor suddenly came from Haining Lake. Clicking. With a cracking sound, the jade cave in the center of the lake suddenly split open, and a beam of light interwoven with black and white shot into the sky, transforming into a phantom of a wheel of life and death, which suddenly spread across the sky and covered the entire eastern wilderness. If the primordial realm weren't so vast compared to the 3 realms of the past, this strange phenomenon would probably have been visible throughout the entire heavenly river realm. That's great, Uncle Luo has also reached the void realm. Upon seeing this scene, Han Jiling knew what was going on and couldn't help but beam with joy. A series of powerful divine senses came through. These were cultivators from the eastern continent who had sensed the commotion and come to investigate. Everyone was slightly surprised when they saw the wheel of life and death. A cultivator at the void refinement stage of the primordial Tao. Soon, the strange phenomena in the sky subsided, and the wheel of life and death transformed into a black and white talisman that entered Luo Yixuan's brow. She opened her eyes and, with a wave of her hand, restored the cracked jade palace to its original state. With a flash of silver light, she instantly teleported in front of Han Jiling and Zhang Siju. Primordial Spirit Void Talisman, does Master want to see me? Luo Yixuan asked with a smile as she saw the talisman Han Jiling had put down. After the world was reopened, Chen Mobai chose the primordial heaven from the original 3 saints' realm as his cave dwelling. Only by possessing the primordial spirit void talisman could he find the primordial heaven. 6 months from now will be the 1000th birthday of the primordial Lord. Master wants to celebrate the Lord's birthday properly, so he specially sent the yellow dragon maid down to the mortal realm to distribute these primordial spirit void talismans to the elders of the 5-element sect. Zhang Siju, being a lively person, told Luo Yixuan the reason. I was so engrossed in my seclusion that I almost forgot about Master's 1000th birthday. Upon hearing this, Luo Yixuan was slightly surprised, but thankfully accepted the primal spirit void talisman with both hands. For her, even practicing the void realm herself was not as important as celebrating Chen Mobai's birthday. Han Jiling, the talisman has been delivered. Please make preparations, Uncle Master. Siju and I are going to Liujia Mountain to deliver one to Elder Yin as well. Upon hearing this, Luo Yixuan waved her sleeve and released the Tei 5 smoke silk. It's been a long time since I last saw senior sister Yin. Let's go together. Soon, the 3 women arrived at Mount Rocco. What was once a barren land is now covered with ancient trees reaching for the sky, lush and green. Especially the jade-green parasol tree on the mountaintop. its canopy like a canopy reaching straight into the heavens, exuding celestial energy and displaying a magnificent and ever-changing spectacle. Soon, a female cultivator flew out. She was slender and beautiful, no less so than Luo Yixuan. She was Yin Qingmei. Huh, you've actually reached the void realm. The moment Yin Qingmei saw Luo Yixuan, her expression changed slightly. After hundreds of years of arduous cultivation, I have fortunately achieved success, which is quite rare as I have taken a step ahead of senior sister Yin. Luo Yixuan, however, smiled and walked over, pretending to be a close sister, and took Yin Qingmei's arm. The latter tried to force a smile, but it looked very unnatural. Because Yin Qingmei cultivates the Azure Emperor's longevity scripture, the path to enlightenment in the void refinement stage is the great Tao of life. Chen Mobai also gave her the refined heavenly venerable tree branch, which has now taken root and sprouted in Liujia Mountain, constantly evolving the Taoist essence of the great Tao of life. But even so, she has still not succeeded. Now, Luo Yixuan has already stepped into the innate great Tao of life and death, which means that no matter how hard she tries in the future, she will always be in Luo Yixuan's shadow. Yin Qingmei was very unwilling to accept this. As someone with a heavenly spiritual root, she outpaced Luo Yixuan in every early stage of her cultivation journey, but she fell behind in the most crucial step. Congratulations, junior sister Luo, on reaching the void realm. Yin Qingmei suppressed the urge to close the door and see the guests out, and spat out congratulatory words through gritted teeth. Not at all, I'm just going ahead. With senior sister Yin's talent, she'll probably be able to achieve the void refinement stage just like me soon. Seeing Yin Qingmei's expression, Luo Yixuan's smile was genuine. Since Chen Mobai's passing, one of the only joys in her remaining life has been beating her neighbor, Yin Qingmei. Now she has finally won big, and for someone who has been suppressed her whole life, she couldn't be more relieved. Han Jiling, who was standing to the side, noticed the undercurrent between the two women and immediately gave the talisman to Yin Qingmei. Upon hearing that it was for Chen Mobai's birthday, the latter respectfully accepted it. Half a year passed quickly. Numerous cultivators, each holding a primal spirit void talisman, stepped into the primal heaven amidst the chaos. The Tai Sui child and the yellow dragon maiden, acting on Qing Nu's orders, greeted them one by one. Hey, where's senior sisters Yuo? Luo Yixuan and Yin Qingmei arrived at the area belonging to the Five Elements sect, only to find that the most crucial person was missing. The ley lines of the southern continent flowed into the surrounding sea eyes, causing a conflict between the earth and water, and shaking the continent. Junior sister Yuo, who is responsible for sorting out the ley lines of the three realms, reported to Master's wife and hurriedly went down to deal with it. Liu Wenbai, the eldest brother, said. He was the first to receive the news and came directly to the primordial heaven with Huanglong's maid to help. Luo Yixuan thought to herself, it's my master's 1000th birthday. Even if it's a huge deal, I'll deal with it later. But she only dared to say these words in her heart. Just then, two beams of spiritual light flew in from beyond the chaos heaven and landed in the primordial heaven, transforming into a man and a woman, who were none other than Chen Mobai and Qing Nu, a married couple. Greetings to the primordial Taoist venerable and the primordial sovereign of Dangxia. Upon seeing the two, everyone immediately stood up and bowed deeply. Your Majesty, I am grateful for your kind efforts in making this trip. Chen Mobai responded with a smile and waved for everyone to take their seats. Oxuaner has mastered the void realm. Excellent, excellent. The moment Chen Mobai turned his head and saw Luo Yixuan, he noticed her progress in cultivation. He nodded slightly, then pulled out a roulette wheel from the void. Take this and study it. Disciple thanks Master and wishes Master a happy 100th birthday. Luo Yixuan immediately stood up, excitedly took the roulette wheel and congratulated Chen Mobai. As soon as she spoke, Liu Wenbai, Jiang Xingheng, Kuzhu, and other people related to the Five Elements sect also joined in. Although he didn't see Zhuo Ming, with Chen Mobai's current level of cultivation, he knew what was going on in a flash. Since it was a good thing, there was no further delay. He nodded to King Nu, signaling the start of the birthday banquet. The Supreme Heavenly King, the demon-slaying ancestor, and other primordial Tao lords were the first to come over and congratulate Chen Mobai. Among them, Yuan Qing and Yi Qing were by the side of the demon-slaying ancestor. The latter had also reached the void realm. Chen Mobai talked with him the most, reminiscing about the past. This scene also made everyone look at Yi Qing with a different eye. After the innate Tao Lord came the heavenly consort. After offering her congratulations, she took the opportunity to bring up a matter. Your Excellency, after nearly 1,000 years of reproduction in the three realms, there are already many living beings. However, there are also many true spirits nurtured by heaven and earth who do not understand the will of heaven and only know how to compete for power, and even rampage and devour humans. In order to protect the human race, I think we should rebuild the heavenly court, re-establish the position of heavenly emperor, and rule over all living beings, acting on your will of heaven. Upon hearing this, the original lineage of the heavenly consort unanimously agreed. However, some remained silent. After all, with the establishment of the heavenly court, they certainly wouldn't be as free as they are now. However, since the heavenly princess was acting in the name of protecting all living beings, they couldn't object. What Taoist Qianghua said makes sense. Chen Mobai nodded, then waved to Jiang Xingheng, who immediately got up and came to stand in front of him. Since this is the new three realms, then you will assume the position of heavenly emperor. The task of rebuilding the heavenly court and maintaining order is quite arduous. Are you willing to take on this responsibility? Upon hearing Chen Mobai's words, the heavenly consort's expression changed slightly. She was thinking of inheriting the past and continuing to let the Yuan lineage rule the heavenly court. But facing the current primordial Taoist, she could only bow her head. This disciple is willing. Jiang Xingheng naturally felt obligated to do so. His principles, ambitions, and ideals could only reach their pinnacle and ultimately merge with the Tao by ascending to the position of the heavenly emperor. How can the Taoist master be so biased, arranging for his own disciple to become the heavenly emperor? How can this be accepted by the people? The heavenly consort was very dissatisfied with Chen Mobai's direct appointment. Although she dared not refute it, she was already thinking that after the heavenly court was rebuilt, she would go into seclusion for a long time, making her lineage obey orders but not summons. Master, my cultivation is insufficient. I'm afraid I cannot lead many powerful beings, let alone deal with those violent and unruly innate true spirit beasts that are rampaging through the three realms. Jiang Xingheng also understood very well that with his current level of void refinement, he certainly could not convince many original true immortal Tao Lords, so he immediately took the opportunity to ask Chen Mobai for the Dharma. This is a magical artifact that I used before, called the Hayashan Mirror. Take it and hang it in the heavenly court. Chen Mobai was determined to support his disciple, so he took out an ancient mirror that he had prepared beforehand. As one of the pure Yang sets, this mirror was refined with a complete innate great Tao when the primordial realm was first created, making it an eighth-order innate treasure. With it in hand, Jiang Xingheng could suppress all but the supreme heavenly king and the demon-subduing ancestor, who were all innate Tao Lords. Thank you, Master. Seeing Jiang Xingheng take the Hayashan mirror from Chen Mobai, Tianfei felt an urge to shoot herself in the foot. It seems this person is the true executor of the primordial Taoist's will. The way the others looked at Jiang Xingheng was completely different at this moment. The demon-subduing ancestor was already planning to join the rebuilt heavenly court after the birthday banquet, becoming a heavenly king to protect Jiang Xingheng, the new heavenly emperor. After ascending to the throne of the heavenly emperor, achieving Tao integration is only a matter of time. It is estimated that this person may be the first primordial Tao Lord under the primordial Tao Venerable. Just when everyone thought Jiang Xingheng had a bright future and might inherit the mantle of the Taoist master, a tremor of the great Tao suddenly caused the primordial heaven to tremble slightly. Qingnu couldn't help but show a look of surprise, and immediately activated the heavenly river Tao fruit to try to find out the reason. But at this moment, Chen Mobai laughed heartily and looked at the mortal realm with a look of satisfaction. It is Ming'er who has achieved Tao. The Yuanqijai * records. May the Taoist Venerable live 1,000 years, and may his disciple, the Earth Mother Primordial Sovereign, attain the Tao's blessings and virtues. May he live 10,000 years, proving the purity of Yang. The Taoist master was pleased and decreed that he inherit the primordial heavenly purple cloud palace. Then the Taoist master, accompanied by his wife, the primordial Lady Danxia, transcended the three realms and ascended to the other shore, the eternal Great Luo Heaven. Epilogue 2 of Chapter 1499. Epilogue 2 of Chapter 1499. Earth Star. Chen Mobai sat on the Arctic ice plains, holding a fishing rod, his eyes focused on the bobber floating on the cold seawater, waiting for a big fish to take the bait. After reaching the pinnacle of his cultivation, he chose to go fishing to pass the time, on Taixu's advice. Centuries later, he considered himself a master angler. Soon the float began to sink, and Chen Mobai's eyes lit up. He slightly raised his right hand holding the rod, feeling the heavy and powerful touch, and couldn't help but lift the rod with satisfaction. But at that moment, a blue aura shone brightly in the very center of the far north ice field, and in an instant, it bloomed into a huge ice flower with thousands of petals. As the ice flowers bloomed, the magnificent and frigid icy winds of this place, like a sleeping dragon awakening, suddenly erupted and poured down towards the heavens and earth. They even swept along the two magnetic poles, trying to reach all parts of the planet and bring an unprecedented cold air mass to this world. Chen Mobai released the large fish he had caught back into the water, then snapped his fingers lightly. Soon, the extremely cold wind spiritual energy, erupting from this seventh order, ice spiritual vein, was bound to the ice plane by his supreme will. Xuaner is successful. Chen Mobai's face lit up with joy as he stored his fishing rod and gear into his Dharma realm and looked toward the ice flower. The reason he came to this far northern ice field to fish was not because the fish here were easy to catch, but because Yan Bingxuan had reached the nascent soul stage and was about to take the step of becoming a deity. After Chen Mobai's immortality, Earthstar's status had long since changed. On this small planet, there were seventh-tier spiritual veins of various attributes. Among them, the most powerful ice spiritual vein was located here. Waya! A fierce icy gale began to swirl back, emitting a sharp whistling sound as it swept through the void, as if summoned, converging towards the ice flower to form a huge vortex of ice and snow. From a distance, it looks like ice flowers rooted in a vortex, breathing in and out the extremely cold spiritual energy between heaven and earth that Chen Mobai had bound. Soon, the aurora danced wildly in the sky, and a primordial spirit Dharma image was born from the ice flowers, with the same appearance as Yan Bingxuan, surrounded by endless snowflakes and icicles, like an ice goddess. Wherever the primordial spirit's icy gaze passed, the void itself froze and solidified. Soon, Yan Bingxuan's gaze fell upon Chen Mobai standing at the edge of the icy plain. Her eyes instantly softened, becoming gentle and tender. "Thank you for protecting me, my husband." Yan Bingxuan's voice rang out, and then her primordial spirit transformed into a snowstorm, merging into the brow of her true form, who sat serenely at the center of the icy spiritual vein. Her aptitude was only above average, but with Chen Mobai's careful guidance and various top-tier resources, she easily overcame the insurmountable barrier of the nascent soul stage. The moment she opened her eyes, Chen Mobai had already crossed the void and was standing in front of her. Once his cultivation reaches the eternal realm, Chen Mobai can transform into countless forms to accompany anyone, but the one here today is his true form. Because Qingnu has no one to care about in the Zai Zio universe, she never comes here. Of course, Chen Mobai still took over the Xuan Palace's territory in her name. Currently, everything is under his name, which can be considered the territory of the immortal sect. The central dojo had absolutely no objection to this. In fact, they were more than happy to see it happen. However, the Xuan Palace had already been destroyed twice, leaving only an empty void. Chen Mobai missed Yan Bingxuan, so he told Qingnu that he would come here to create stars and spiritual veins for the Xuan Palace and clean up the mess for the turtle spirit. In fact, with his eternal realm, he could recreate the universe in the blink of an eye. Qingnu was fully aware of this, but she turned a blind eye and pretended not to know. In any case, as long as Chen Mobai didn't bring women from outside into the three realms, it was fine. With Yan Bingxuan achieving divine transformation, Chen Mobai naturally wanted to celebrate with her properly. Soon, the ancient, desolate Arctic Sea began to surge with monstrous waves. A few days later, Chen Mobai took Yan Bingxuan to tour the starry sky of the Xuan Palace. He also made a few pieces of starry river and opened a primordial spirit vein to show that he was here in the Zixel universe to do something important. However, happy times are always short-lived. Before they knew it, half a year had passed, and Chen Mobai returned to the immortal sect with Yan Bingxuan. Beep, beep, beep. As soon as they entered Earthstar, Chen Mobai's phone received a signal and started ringing. A white light appears on the phone. After glancing at the series of missed call notifications on the screen, Chen Mobai called back in front of Yan Bingxuan. "Bai Guang, why are you only returning my call now?" "Chen Mobai, bad signal, is something wrong?" Bai Guang, my daughter has run away from home. Find her quickly and I'll personally go and bring her back. Because King Nu had secured Chen Mobai's position as his legal wife, and Bai Guang was unwilling to be a concubine, she took her daughter back to the White Palace, intending to raise Ziohe to inherit the White Palace, and then go into seclusion to break through to the pure Yang realm, hoping to one day use her greater power to win back her husband. Although he and Bai Guang were not deeply in love, they were still bound by the bond of marriage, and Chen Mobai did not use his eternal realm to force her to become his concubine. In addition, for the sake of his daughter, he let her have her way. When Chen Mobai comes to the Purple Cloud universe, he often takes the time to visit his daughter. For him now, billions of stars can be traversed in a single step. Every time Chen Ziohe saw Chen Mobai, he would cry and complain about how miserable he had been, and how he wanted to go back to Earth Yuan Star to live a peaceful life. In Bai Guang's view, her daughter, who combines the excellent genes of herself and Chen Mobai, should be the most talented in the Zixel universe. However, in her opinion, Chen Ziohe's cultivation progress can only be described as average. After hundreds of years, she has only reached the void refinement stage. Chen Mobai is eternal, while she is merely pure Yang, so all the powerful beings in the entire Zixel universe believe that her genes are a hindrance. Even Bai Guang himself thinks so. But Bai Guang couldn't accept it, thinking it must be because his daughter was too lazy. Therefore, for the past few hundred years, they have begun to implement high-pressure education, determined to make Chen Ziohe achieve Tao in the shortest possible time. After enduring it for a long time, Chen Ziohe finally couldn't take it anymore. Taking advantage of a moment when Bai Guang went out to search for the reincarnation of his second sister, Bai Lang, he secretly ran away from the White House. Because Chen Ziohe was protected by two innate treasures, the Morning Bell and the Five Emperors' Dragon Banner, even Bai Guang could not find her and could only ask Chen Mobai for help. With Chen Mobai's current level of cultivation, he can know anything he wants to know with a mere thought. Upon hearing Bai Guang's words, a scene from one corner of the universe began to zoom in and out in his eyes. Soon, Chen Ziohe, who was fleeing towards the central dojo via the Taixu Express star teleportation array, came into Chen Mobai's view. She's not in any danger, so don't worry. Our daughter has worked hard cultivating for hundreds of years anyway, so consider this a break for her. Don't look for her anymore. She'll come home to you when she's tired of playing outside. Chen Mobai also felt a little sorry for his daughter and didn't reveal her whereabouts. No, you have no idea how awful the rumors are. They say our daughter inherited my dull comprehension, which is why her cultivation progress is so mediocre, wasting your eternal bloodline. I must prove those guys wrong. It's all because our daughter was spoiled by those guys from the immortal sects when she was young and didn't develop the unwavering perseverance that you and I have. Bai Guang was determined to raise his daughter to be successful. People can say whatever they want, why bother with a few idle words? You're a mother now, you should be more magnanimous. Chen Mobai's words were interrupted by Bai Guang before he could finish. Nobody dares to say anything to you, of course you're magnanimous. I can't, I'm naturally petty. Rottenwood cannot be carved. Chen Mobai shook his head, thinking that Chen Ziohe's decision to run away from home now was already quite tolerant, showing the same spirit he had back then. Bai Guang, what do you mean? I've been raising our daughter all these years by myself, and you tell me where she's gone. Did she come looking for you at the immortal sect? Chen Mobai knew that given Bai Guang's personality, if he had no clue, he might actually come to the immortal sect to find Chen Ziohe, since the latter had only stayed on Earth Origin Star besides White Palace. Considering Yan Bingxuan was here, Chen Mobai certainly didn't want this tigress to come over, so he simply gave her something to do. I've calculated that your second sister has already been reincarnated. You go and handle this matter first. I'll take care of our daughter. Upon hearing the news of the destruction of the White Wolf, Bai Guang could only grit her teeth and put aside her desire to capture Chen Ziohe. After all, the latter was her and Chen Mobai's daughter, and no one in the entire Zixel universe dared to lay a hand on her. But her second sister was different. Moreover, the White Wolf hadn't been very respectful to Chen Mobai back then, and perhaps that brat Samsara wanted to curry favor with Chen Mobai and secretly sabotaged her reincarnation in a dangerous place. After learning from Chen Mobai that his second sister's spirit had been reincarnated in the Dragon Palace, Bai Guang put down the phone and said to Wang Ji beside him, "Third sister, you are also from the Zixel lineage. Use your connections to help me find Zio Hai. I'll go pick up my second sister first." Even after Chen Mobai achieved immortality, he did not forget to release Wangji, Yuansheng, and other true immortal Tao lords who had been suppressed by the turtle spirit, as it was only a matter of a single thought. After Wangji left, since the White Crane dojo was gone, she simply went to the White Palace to seek refuge with Bai Guang, her only relative. She also hit it off with Chen Ziohei at first sight. If it weren't for her constant comforting, Chen Ziohei would have run away from home 100 years ago. Big sister, didn't brother-in-law say he was going to take care of Ziohei? If I go to find him, will I offend him? Wangji had never met Chen Mobai, and she still held this legendary brother-in-law in high esteem. After all, he was at the same eternal realm as her master. What are you afraid of? He can't possibly suppress you. Bai Guang was in a hurry to pick up Bai Lang. After saying this, she picked up the heavenly killing sword that Chen Mobai had helped her repair and teleported to the Dragon Palace. Over at the Dragon Palace, there are several old dragons who have a grudge against her. On Earthly Star, after Chen Mobai escorted Yan Bingxuan home, he bid her a reluctant farewell. When will you come next time? Yan Bingxuan knew that Chen Mobai was going to see his daughter, so she didn't try to stop him, but asked this question instead. It will probably take some time, Chen Mo said apologetically, unable to give a definite answer. Yan Bingxuan nodded gently, indicating that she would wait for him there. Senior Brother Su, thank you very much. After Chen Ziohei stepped out of the star teleportation array, she thanked Su Senki, who was in charge of the western territory of the central dojo. Without his help, she definitely wouldn't have been able to escape from the White House. Su Senki, junior sister, you're too kind. This is a temporary identity registration I made for you. You can use it to enter and exit any place in the central dojo, and you don't have to worry about the killing Dao ancestor finding out. Remember not to use your own household registration certificate, even in the central dojo, it's too conspicuous. After Chen Mobai became an eternal being, he was already a patriarch-level figure in the central dojo, with a statue erected alongside that of Taoist Xiao. As for his daughter, Chen Ziohei, she was even more so, having long since been registered in the central dojo. Thank you for the reminder, senior brother. Chen Ziohei nodded repeatedly and stepped into the central dojo with anticipation. 2 weeks later, Chen Ziohei was shopping on the street, breathing in the fresh air, when he suddenly saw a familiar figure in front of him and trembled. Auntie, how did you find me? The Taoist techniques you used all came from the White Crane Dojo's public account, which I applied for. After I broke free from the seal, I could apply to get it back. I know you're not the type to endure hardship and you must spend money lavishly. I asked senior sister Erking, who is in charge of the central bank, to retrieve the usage records, and following the clues I found you. Wangji looked at Chen Ziohei, who was looking around anxiously, clearly searching for the white light, and couldn't help but chuckle as he spoke. I see. Chen Ziohei looked annoyed, thinking that he should ask his dad to open a family account for him next time, but when he realized there was no white light around, he asked again with a sense of hope, "Where's my mom? Didn't she come?" Wangji Daejun, your father has calculated where your second sister is reincarnated. Your eldest sister went to fetch her and sent me to take you back to the White Palace. Chen Ziohei, no. Upon hearing that Bai Guang hadn't come, Chen Ziohei breathed a sigh of relief, then affectionately moved closer to Wangji Daejun. Auntie, just pretend you didn't find me. I know you love me the most. Wangji looked at his eldest niece with doting eyes, but his hands moved quickly, immediately restraining Chen Ziohei and preparing to take her back to the White House. Just as Chen Ziohei was filled with despair, a precious bell swirling with yin and yang energies flew out from her sleeve, gently circling above her head, and the restriction set up by Taoist Wangji was easily neutralized. Dad, you've come to save me. Overjoyed to have regained his freedom, Chen Ziohei straightened his back instantly upon seeing the morning bell above his head. Meanwhile, Wangji Daejun looked terrified, because the restriction she had just set had backfired on her, immobilizing her in place. In the central training ground, in the top-tier 8th-level cave dwelling, Chen Mobai put down his teacup and waved to a stunningly beautiful woman with exquisite features. Please excuse me for a moment. I need to see my daughter. Yes. Meng Huanger immediately put down the teapot she was carrying, bowed obediently, and took her leave. A group of elite cultivators from the immortal sect were sent to the central dojo for further study, and Meng Huanger was one of them. She also managed Chen Mobai's 8th-tier cave dwelling on a daily basis, and the latter would come over from time to time. After Meng Huanger left, Chen Mobai tapped the table lightly with his fingers. Then, a flash of silver light appeared before his eyes, and Wangji Daejun and Chen Ziohe were teleported into the tea room. Dad. As soon as Chen Ziohe saw Chen Mobai, his eyes immediately filled with tears, and he began to recount the suffering he had endured over the past few hundred years. Isn't this your own idea to inherit the White House? Chen Mobai interrupted. When Chen Ziohe heard Bai Guang say that she would inherit all the billions of star systems in the Western White House of the Zixeo universe, his eyes lit up. He thought that it would be a waste not to squander his mother's vast wealth, so he agreed to go to the White House to confirm his inheritance rights. Little did they know that this trip would lead them into Bai Guang's trap. Chen Zio, Dad, I was lied to by Mom. Now all I want is to inherit your Xuan palace. Chen Mobai, that's your aunt's business. I'm just managing it on her behalf. Chen Ziohe, then the central dojo will do too. Chen Mobai, this is the teacher's property, left to the entire Zixeo lineage. As for me, this cave dwelling is what I consider mine. Chen Ziohe, great, this is my home now. I don't believe my mom would dare to come here and arrest me. Upon hearing this, Chen Mobai knew that his daughter had completely given up on trying. Considering that Meng Huanger was still living here, he thought it best to let Taoist Wangji take her back. As his daughter, her mere cultivation level of the void refinement realm is indeed somewhat inappropriate. Chapter 1500, Epilogue 3 End. Chapter 1500, Epilogue 3 End. Junior sister, thank you for coming all the way from the White House to the central dojo. Chen Mobai released the restrictions on Wangji and said very politely, if it weren't for my brother-in-law's rescue, I would still be sealed in the boundless black prison. Zio Hai is my niece, so it is only right that I take care of her. Wangji Daejun's eyebrows were like willow leaves and his eyes were like autumn water. As he spoke, he looked at Chen Mobai's face and a look of hesitation suddenly appeared on his face. When Chen Mobai entered Zixeo Palace 3 times, the Taoist master turned the past into reality, and this memory gradually began to resurface in Wangji's mind. Do you remember now? Chen Mobai couldn't help but smile slightly when he saw her expression. You are? Daejun Wangji's eyes widened in disbelief, thinking that Chen Mobai was the reincarnation of Dan Ding. I am not a pill refiner, but it was indeed thanks to the 3 bluebird Dharma images left by him that I was able to become a disciple of my master. Chen Mobai said that, having cultivated to his level, knowing about past and present lives is only a matter of a moment. The elixir cauldron had long since died, and because it had failed to unite with the Tao, its true spirit merged into the great Tao of Nirvana after its passing, making reincarnation impossible. I see. Taoist Wangji muttered to himself, the surprise that had flashed in his eyes suddenly turning into utter disappointment. Speaking of which, besides junior brother Dan Ding, I also have to thank you, junior sister, for my achievements today. Wangji Daejun naturally understood Chen Mobai's meaning. Over the years, Chen Ziohe had already told her everything about the immortal sect. Junior sister, why did you let Zhang Daesun bury the heavenly killing sword and the heavenly phoenix mirror together back then? For Chen Mobai, although he could already achieve omniscience and omnipotence below the level of eternity, that would make life meaningless for all living beings. Therefore, he preferred to have face-to-face conversations with the parties involved to slowly unravel the doubts in his heart, as he was doing now, and enjoy the feeling of sudden enlightenment and revelation. After my elder sister learned the secrets of the pure Yang realm, she thought of severing her own realm, abandoning either the great Tao of slaughter or destruction, to lay the foundation for her to reach the 9th rank in the future. Because I have spent a long time with the heavenly slaughter sword and have a deep understanding of the great Tao of slaughter, my elder sister wants me to inherit the great Tao of slaughter. However, after my eldest sister was killed by the demon lord in the Xuan Palace, the heavenly slaughter sword, as her life-bound treasure, also broke. I knew things were not good, so I came to the central dojo to ask senior sister Erking what the reason was. But because senior sister Erking's great Tao of destiny was not yet perfect at that time, she was afraid that if she revealed the secrets of heaven, she would be devoured by the demon lord. Therefore, she did not tell me everything. Instead, she instructed me to bury the heavenly slaughter sword and the heavenly phoenix mirror together. This is because junior brother Dan Ding was the life-bound true spirit of the great Tao of Nirvana in his previous life. Although the heavenly phoenix mirror was broken, it still contained the possibility of transcending the deadly situation. Now it has been proven that what senior sister Erking said was true, It was indeed her eldest sister who seized this glimmer of hope for you, brother-in-law. After listening to Wangji Daejun's explanation, Chen Mobai suddenly understood. The Erking she mentioned is the second in command of the central dojo and the spiritual reincarnation of the primordial green lotus treasure. Chen Mobai had heard the three saints of the void mention her before. After her reincarnation, she cultivated destiny, and after the ancestral dragon left with Tianhai, she occupied the vacant path. As expected of Master's green lotus, it can see so far. Chen Mobai praised it highly, and then asked Daejun Wangji about Dan Ding's past life. Junior sister, you said that junior brother Dan Ding is the companion true spirit of the Nirvana Tao. Could he be from the Phoenix Palace? And what is his relationship with senior sister Tianhuang? Chen Mobai had always found it incredible that the alchemical cauldron could be used to cultivate the great Tao of Nirvana, and that the heavenly phoenix was willing to give it up. After all, the struggle for the great Tao has always been a fight to the death. Daejun Wangji hesitated slightly because this matter concerned the privacy between Dan Ding, Tianhuang, and herself, something she had never mentioned even to Bai Guang. Junior sister, please have some tea. Just then, Chen Mobai personally handed the poured teacup to Wangji Daejun. When the eternal great power offered her tea, and considering that he was also her savior, Taoist Wangji no longer held back. However, before speaking, she glanced at Chen Ziohe, who was also listening intently. Chen Mobai instantly understood her meaning and waved to his daughter. Go to the central hall and invite senior sister Erking and senior brother Sansheng over. Tell them I'm inviting them for tea. Chen Ziohe immediately shook his head, indicating that he did not know anyone, but under the intense gazes of Chen Mobai and Wangji Daejun, he could only pout and reluctantly get up and leave the tea room. After only the two of them remained, Taoist Wangji took a sip of tea and then recounted a hidden story from the primordial chaos. At the beginning of the creation of this universe, two chaos true spirits were born in the southern realm. They are the kings of all birds. The male is called Denfeng and the female is called Tianhuang. Together they are called Phoenix. They are born with the Nirvana Tao, surrounded by the five virtues, and protected by the primordial divine tree. As long as they grow up smoothly, even without a master to teach them, they can still attain the eighth order pure Yang realm. However, the great Tao is singular, so among the phoenixes, only one of the Danfeng and Tianhuang can achieve nirvana by merging with the Tao. Although the other one can choose from the five virtues, as a transcendence of the great Tao, nirvana allows one to survive annihilation and even become the ruler of the next era. Therefore, there is a dispute between the two. But because the eldest sister is the one who borders the southern border, she is vicious by nature and often crosses the border to wreak havoc. Thanks to this powerful external enemy, and with the mediation of the wood god, Danfeng and Tianhuang finally decided to fight to the death, and the winner would be reborn in nirvana. In that battle, Danfeng won, but at the moment of its Tao integration and nirvana, it discovered that this great Tao had already been occupied, and that it was occupied by its master who had transcended from the previous era. When it failed to integrate with the Tao, its master also realized this and took action to protect Danfeng's true spirit and send it to reincarnation. The place where Danfeng was reincarnated was in the Southern Territory. He became a human, namely Dan Ding Jr. brother. Besides the phoenix, there are many other innate spirits that imitated their appearance and took human form. These are the true spirits of many birds, including me. After his reincarnation, Danfeng was able to retain all his memories because of his master's intervention. He came to the Wudong Temple to find Tianhuang and told her about his identity. But Tianhuang thought he was deceiving her because no true spirit that failed to merge with the Tao could survive, let alone be reincarnated. Tianhuang even tried to kill Danfeng, but Mushin secretly intervened and saved her. Afterwards, because my elder sister attacked, Tianhuang was in a hurry to defend against her and ordered me to chase after her. After I received the order, I pursued him all the way. Out of curiosity, I kept coming into contact with him, and before I knew it, we had developed feelings for each other. As he said this, Taoist Wangji's expression showed a hint of shyness. Chen Mobai was also surprised that Dan Ding was one of the true spirits of the phoenix in his previous life. He couldn't help but marvel, but soon he thought of another question. Was it for this reason that you left the Phoenix Palace in the Southern Territory and became sworn brothers with Bai Guang? The three whites of the western regions are famous throughout the world, but in the beginning, Taoist Wangji was just a white crane. I was chasing Dan Ding when I unknowingly arrived at the border. I was spotted by the two older sisters who have a keen sense of smell and were immediately arrested. In order to save me, and because he harbored resentment towards Tianhuang, Dan Ding told my elder sister about Tianhuang's weakness in the Great Tao. At first, my elder sister was skeptical, but when she fought Tianhuang again, she defeated her in a direct battle and forced her to nirvana. If it weren't for the wood god's intervention, the southern territory would probably be my elder sister's territory now. Because they couldn't break through the Wudong temple guarded by the wood god, my elder sister returned to the capital, taking me and Dan Ding with her. On the way, they encountered a teacher who was preaching. My elder sister was unconvinced and was given a lecture. The teacher saw that she was hopeless and shook his head and left. Afterwards, the heavenly phoenix, having successfully undergone nirvana, joined the purple cloud palace. Through her senior brother, the ancestral dragon, who was an enemy of her elder sister and was well versed in the great Tao of destiny, she learned the truth. It was her junior brother, Dan Ding, who had revealed the weakness of the great Tao of nirvana, which led to her defeat at her elder sister's hands. After that, although the heavenly phoenix knew that her junior brother Dan Ding was the reincarnation of the phoenix, her hatred for him reached its peak. If it weren't for the fact that they were both disciples of the Purple Cloud Palace, she probably would have killed him the moment she saw him. In the western region, I also discovered that although my eldest and second sisters were vicious by nature, they were pure at heart. As we spent time together, the three of us grew closer and closer, so we decided to become sworn brothers. Because of his affinity with Master, junior brother Dan Ding found the path of Zixil Palace spreading the Tao throughout the heavens and planned to become a disciple. Just then, news came that Tianhuang had abandoned the Nirvana Tao and used Tai Su and Yindu to prove pure Yang. Elder sister was worried that Tianhuang would come to take revenge after she succeeded, but she couldn't bring herself to bow down to our master. So I took the initiative to speak up and offered to enter the Zixil Palace in her place, learn the secrets of the pure Yang realm, and then pass them on to her. My elder sister was very happy that I took the initiative to sacrifice, but she was also afraid that Tianhuang would bully me, so she gave me the heavenly killing sword to protect myself. What happened next is something you know, brother-in-law. After much hardship, Dan Ding and I finally became disciples of Zixil Palace. With the protection of our fellow disciples by our compassionate senior brother, Tianhuang didn't dare to do anything to us. After listening, Chen Mobai nodded repeatedly, finally finding the answers to all his doubts. I've eaten the whole melon. However, Dan Ding was truly pitiful. As the origin of a primordial true spirit, it failed because the Nirvana Tao was occupied by the purple cloud Tao Venerable. It finally managed to reincarnate, only to be swept away by the heavenly phoenix. When it finally entered the purple cloud palace and the Nirvana Tao became available, it failed to merge with the Tao again. This must be what they mean by a life full of twists and turns. Just then, two divine senses flew over. It was the two people Chen Mobai had invited who had arrived. Senior sister Erking, senior brother Sensheng, please sit down. Su Erking was a graceful and beautiful woman in a green dress, while Su Sensheng was the same as before. Greetings, junior brother. Compared to Chen Mobai's casualness, Su Erking and Su Sensheng were much more reserved. After all, this junior brother was now an eternal powerhouse, just like Zixil Daizun. Especially the latter, who felt that his attitude towards Chen Mobai was a bit inappropriate when they met before, not as respectful as he was towards Zixil Daizun. The main reason I invited you two here is to ask if our teacher left anything behind. I plan to transcend and leave after I've finished dealing with things here, and go to the Chaos Realm to pay my respects to my master. Chen Mobai then explained the purpose of his visit to the central dojo. Although he had already entered the realm of eternity through creation and primordial beginning, it was only recently that he felt he had reached perfection and completely mastered this realm. He soon discovered that eternity was merely the end of cultivation within endless chaos. Beyond eternity, there are realms. Chen Mobai naturally didn't plan to leave now, after all. He was still young and had many people around him to accompany him, but this preparation could begin. The chaos is endless and boundless, and even for Zixil Daizun, finding him would not be an easy task. So I wanted to ask the three sages who had been with the Purple Cloud Taoist for the longest time. Most of the teacher's things were left to Brother Takesu, Su Sansheng said hesitantly after hearing this. He was the last of the three innate treasures to be reincarnated, and he did not receive any of the legacy of the Purple Cloud Taoist. It's a pity senior Brother Takesu is still in seclusion comprehending the creation. In that case, I'll ask him again when he comes out of seclusion, Chen Mobai said with a regretful expression. But there's no rush, he has plenty of time. The reason I said that was simply to put some pressure on my daughter. Dad, you're leaving. As expected, Chen Ziohe became restless upon hearing that Chen Mobai wanted to transcend and leave. With her father gone from this realm of eternity, leaving behind only her troublemaking mother, her life as a daughter is bound to be very difficult, and she might even get entangled in Bai Guang's grudges. But as a sensible daughter, she simply couldn't bring herself to say anything to stop Chen Mobai from transcending worldly desires. Don't worry, I will at least celebrate my 1000th birthday before I leave. After I'm gone, if you encounter any trouble that you can't handle, come to the central dojo and find some of my senior brothers and sisters. As soon as Chen Mobai finished speaking, Su Erking and Su Sansheng both smiled and nodded to Chen Ziohe, expressing that they would treat her like their own daughter. But Chen Ziohe understood that this was because Chen Mobai was present. It was at this moment that Chen Ziohe made up her mind to work hard and at least achieve Dao attainment, so that even if her father passed away, she wouldn't have to worry about the grudges her mother caused, and at least she could live forever. Junior brother, when I was still the Azure Lotus, I heard my master say that after achieving eternity, one must go to the great Luo heaven, where the secrets beyond eternity are found. After Su Erking put down her teacup, a memory suddenly came to mind, and she immediately spoke to Chen Mobai. Great Luo heaven. Upon hearing these three words, Chen Mobai, with his omniscience and omnipotence, quickly sensed them, as if an invisible thread in the deepest part of chaos was guiding him from the purple cloud universe to the eternal Great Luo heaven. Very good, very good. Thank you for your guidance, senior sister. Chen Mobai burst into laughter, realizing that this was the purple cloud Taoist giving him directions. Over.